This scene opens on a quiet city street at night. A small bell jingles, signaling a new arrival, revealing a grim-faced warrior in full battle gear. Inside, a bar's patrons watch a screen preparing to broadcast, his gauntleted hand never far from his weapon. This bartender greets him by name, Old Kaio, pouring a drink, who casually mentions a low-level raid for wolf parts, but his attention is clearly on the broadcast, an affirmative nod as the screen shows a vast hall, where a grim broadcast announces the beginning of a purge. Inside the hall, a council of congressmen concludes their vote, their decision declared as a unanimous vote in favor, officially passing the deprivation of the mask motion. Parliament President He Yao begins to list the charges against Mask, recounting a history of war crimes before the council's final judgment is passed. For his crimes, the hero faces the death penalty, but a politician offers a different sentence for his service, stripping him of power but letting him keep the title hero, a title that binds him to future service unconditionally. His judgment is broadcast for the entire world to see, and in a bar, one man toasts to Mask's past heroism. Others at the table immediately argue against this praise. His defender insists Mask stood alone when all others fled. This critic scoffs, claiming Mask is just paranoid about corruption, calling him crazy, a man desperate to reclaim his former glory. But the supporter quietly disagrees, unable to finish his thought. Back at the trial, the official dismisses him with false honor, reminding him this mercy is an illegal special favor. Through it all, Mask's gaze remains cold and unreadable, leaving the politician alone on the empty stage. A cold, sharp focus returns to his eyes, finding himself before a silent, judging assembly. His last memory, a fatal sneak attack from a trusted lord. All in the same hall where his companions once betrayed him. He questions if this is just a final dying memory, but a shocking realization begins to dawn on him. This system screen shows his main task is already complete, now offering him a choice between two new paths, and in that moment he knows he's been reborn, thrown back to the crossroads of his own history. With a grim smile he makes his decision, this time choosing the path of the monster. Just then, a blonde man questions his silence, calling him a hero who lacks the political wisdom to lead, ultimately declaring him a relic that stands in the way of progress. This blonde official declares this trial will exile the masked hero, turning him into nothing more than a harmless statue, while his rivals mock any disagreement as clinging to power. But from the throne, the masked man finally speaks, his objection echoing through the silent chamber, and the blonde official smirks, welcoming the challenge. While elsewhere, patrons watch the broadcast, calling him an old man, convinced he is a criminal who sacrificed others for his own gain. Then on screen, the hero makes a shocking announcement, leaving the entire bar completely stunned into silence. As a hand slams down in absolute disbelief, it is the blonde official demanding he repeat himself. So the masked man stands, calmly repeating his abdication, admitting to everyone that he is tired of being a hero, which infuriates the official, who accuses him of disrespecting their authority. This official questions his dissatisfaction as he walks away, but Mask turns, claiming he has never felt more relaxed, infuriating the politician who expected a silent, obedient hero. He accuses Mask of planning to fight the Commonwealth, shouting that he cannot just leave like this, since he has already renounced his special status. This official declares he must also surrender his strength. In the bar, patrons debate the president's true meaning, one man realizing he wants to abolish Mask's power entirely, sparking a discussion about the hero's actual rank. Old Kaio clarifies Mask is rank 13, far above all others, a level of strength he believes will never be matched. Back at the trial, the president recounts Mask's debt to the people, his speech building toward one final, cruel condition. If he truly wants to leave, he must give up all his power. Mask questions the demand to give up his power, leaving the blonde official completely speechless, while the rest of the council looks on in shock, and his former companions watch with tears in their eyes. With a calm smile, Mask finally agrees to their terms, declaring his surrender as he gathers his energy. A swirling vortex of immense power forms in his hand, causing one of the officials to leap up in alarm, as the energy sphere grows to an incredible size, then unleashes it in a massive, blinding wave. This entire assembly is crushed by the sheer force, some crying out for help under the immense pressure, and even the blonde official can barely withstand it, forced to unleash his own rank 9 power just to endure, fighting the overwhelming urge to kneel before Mask's might. With a cold glare, he agrees to return his power. A torrent of pure energy erupts from his body, this raw power tearing through the very foundation, blasting straight through the top of the skyscraper. On the streets below, citizens mistake it for a strange phenomenon, until panic spreads with cries of a monster's arrival, while the beam of light pierces the heavens themselves, its crackling energy devastating everything in its path, leaving the assembly members unconscious on the floor. This light finally fades, leaving him alone in the wreckage. His rival notes the power lasted a full 10 minutes, but now realizes the hero is just an ordinary human, a man with no power left to fear. Now powerless, Mask clutches his chest, feeling the void inside, then turns his back on the throne and walks away. This official eagerly urges him to just leave. Unfazed, Mask simply touches his disguise, then casually tosses the mask into the air. His rival screams a final threat of death, but Mask turns his back and walks away. A flash of red light erupts in the doorway, leaving the official utterly stunned by his vanishing act. Elsewhere inside a dark and jagged cavern, a glowing blue portal hums with energy. From it, a team of hunters emerges, briefed on a spider realm, their captain smirking as he asks about any arachnophobes, while one woman reassures a younger teammate named Zio Kyan. These men, however, are just eager to hunt for cash, their conversation shifting to Mask's trial happening today, noting it is the only reason this easy realm is available. This captain cuts the chatter, eager to start the raid, rallying his team to clear the secret realm with speed. Suddenly, the portal behind them flares with energy, alerting the hunters that someone else is arriving. A single foot steps through the shimmering gate, leaving the young woman completely stunned. As the former hero, now unmasked, emerges from the light, two of the hunters immediately mock his lack of gear, but his gaze remains calm and unfazed by their taunts. He reflects on how long it has been since he'd seen a low-level realm, a nostalgic smile crossing his face as he remembers his start. His memories flash back to fighting demon gods in endless realms, a stark contrast to his current status as a powerless level 1 human. This system screen confirms his complete reset, reaffirming his belief that the path of a hero was a failed one. Embracing his new path, he looks forward to becoming a monster. Just then, an armored hunter greets him, asking about the raid. This hunter smirks, questioning where his weapon is. In response, he simply raises a fist as his only weapon. Amused, the hunter pats his shoulder, calling him a martial artist, then asks his level, secretly worried about the reward split. Our hero calmly reveals he is only level 1, an answer that leaves the entire party completely stunned. This leader grips his shoulder, asking if he is joking. Then scoffs, dismissing him as a suicidal fool. With a sharp move, he forces the hunter's hand away, calmly declaring he is here to crush the monster. Another hunter mocks his claim, saying he is weaker than their healers, but he simply tells them he will not be a burden. This leader lets him go, warning him not to expect any help. This captain warns him not to expect any help. As the team heads into the cavern, our hero lagging behind. And one of the women, Zio Kyan, glances back with concern. Deep inside, the air crackles with an ominous heat. Then a mage unleashes a powerful explosion, incinerating the first wave of spider-like monsters. An archer shouts a warning, quickly drawing his bow, saving his captain from a sneak attack just in time. This leader offers a quick word of thanks for the save, while the others carve through the monstrous swarm. Through it all, the former hero simply watches the battle unfold, prompting Zio Kyan to comment on the captain's harsh welcome. She explains he is just worried about a rookie's mistakes, giving him a stark warning that carelessness means death, but he just smiles, noting how much more cautious hunters have become. She notes he talks like someone from the Commonwealth, while others praise Mask's policies for saving lives. Realizing her mistake, she stops to introduce herself, revealing her name is Yan Kyankian, a level 2 healer, and the two formally shake hands. He introduces himself as Zio Q, a level 1 with no chosen path, leaving Yan Kyankian completely stunned by this fact, but he casually mentions he created all the paths himself. Unaware of his history, she suggests he become a spellcaster, her eyes studying him with a curious gaze before she apologizes for talking too much. Just then, a deadly projectile slices through the air, and Zio Q yanks her out of its path as a purple energy blade cuts through the empty space, slamming into the wall right where she once stood. This archer screams a warning about a shadow spider. A massive crystalline beast emerges from the shadows, its deadly leg lunging forward with incredible speed, but Zio Q catches the attack with his bare hand, snapping the monster's limb with a sickening crack. He now stands between the beast and a terrified Yan Kyankian, wielding the severed leg like a makeshift spear, then drives the sharp point straight into the spider's head, piercing its eye with brutal precision. This colossal monster falls dead before them, leaving the other hunters utterly speechless at his mastery, while the captain insists even professionals lack such skill, noting how he targeted the weakest joint and the eyeball in an instant, a perfect display of anatomical knowledge and combat sense. Still in his arms, Yan Kyankian asks if he can let her go now. Zio Q teases her for clinging to him so tightly. Flustered, Yan Kyankian quickly apologizes. A system window confirms he gained experience points. This system was the key to his rapid rise as a hero, and with his past experience, he is confident he can grow even faster. This captain approaches, admitting he misjudged him, thanking him for the save and promising a reward share, but Zio Q dismisses it as simple teamwork. This captain internally seethes, thinking he is being mocked, when suddenly a flash of energy erupts nearby, as the leader deflects another monster's attack. This rest of the team is swarmed by more creatures, and their captain announces the boss is just ahead. He lays out the plan he will tank while they attack, telling the mage to prepare fire for the spider's silk. One hunter predicts Mask was found guilty, while another is just curious about his true identity, recalling his past as a savior before he massacred a city. Yan Kyankian quickly jumps to the hero's defense, explaining he only acted to stop a demonic infection. This muscular hunter scoffs at her loyalty, but their captain quickly shuts down the argument, telling them not to make a scene for the rookie. With the debate settled, they head for the boss's lair, entering a chamber covered in thick, ominous webs. A single step crunches through the silk-covered ground, as the hunters anticipate valuable loot from the boss, even speculating on the high price of its corpse. Suddenly, monstrous legs emerge from the shadows, and the captain shouts a warning as the beast appears. A massive spider-like boss monster roars down at the team, This captain shouts for everyone to attack while he tanks, bracing himself as the beast's massive leg slams down. A spear wielder leaps onto the creature's back, unleashing a flurry of devastating strikes against its hide. Xiao observes that these monsters lack any real intelligence, clenching his fist as he realizes the key to victory. With a single punch, he shatters the monster's armored leg. Meanwhile, the archers let loose a volley of flaming arrows, which explode across the creature's spiky carapace. Yan Qian casts a spell, weakening the beast further, causing the monster to shriek in agony from the assault. With the beast defeated, the captain boasts about their easy victory, then smirks, promising to share the rewards with Xiao. But our hero notes a dangerous fact: this is a level 4 realm, not level 3. A hunter points out the treasure chest is missing, while Yan Qian senses a presence up ahead. Then the soft sound of footsteps echoes through the cave, revealing a headless girl in a school uniform, a sight that leaves Yan Qian horrified, her head replaced by an astronaut's helmet. This captain finally understands why the chest never appeared. This girl is the secret boss of the realm. Unimpressed, the spear wielder scoffs at her appearance, until two glowing eyes ignite within her helmet's visor. She stumbles forward, looking almost clumsy, then suddenly erupts with a terrifying burst of speed. Her charge aimed directly at the overconfident hunter, who meets her head-on with a powerful punch. But the captain screams that his direct attack is foolish. A strange, helmeted girl is suddenly impaled, as one of the hunters, Lao Chi, drives his spear through her. This rest of the team watches in grim silence. While Lao Chi smirks, boasting about his easy kill, he moves in for the final blow, yelling for her to die. But the wound on her stomach begins to shift ominously. Suddenly, thick spider silk erupts from the fatal injury, ensnaring his arms before he can even react. His threads pull him helplessly toward the creature, and he screams as the silk tightens its grip. Another hunter shouts his name in a panic, forcing the captain to order a flame attack immediately. Their mage steps forward, her hands glowing with power, conjuring a powerful fire incantation, which erupts in a massive inferno engulfing the monster. This captain shouts a warning about the flames, but the archer can only stare as the fire surges. It swirls into a massive, fiery vortex, revealing a pair of slender legs within the inferno. This spear wielder looks on in absolute terror, as a bizarre, multi-legged creature in a school uniform emerges. Stunned, the captain admits he has never seen a boss like this, when suddenly the spearman screams, caught in the monster's trap. A sharp leg flashes through the air with deadly speed, his eyes widening in a final moment of agony, just before the limb pierces straight through his chest. This creature holds his lifeless body aloft, a gruesome trophy, prompting the archer to scream his friend's name and vow revenge. Xiao's hand stops him, warning him not to be reckless, explaining that rushing in would only lead to the same fate. This archer agrees with his captain, a rash attack is suicide, who then asks how long until the portal opens, learning it is 3 hours. Their only option is a fighting retreat toward the entrance. Suddenly, a hunter shouts a warning as a new monster appears, a grotesque spider girl with a helmet and multiple legs. From her stomach, she unleashes a stream of sticky webbing, aimed directly at the unprepared captain. In response, the archer fires a volley of glowing arrows to intercept, but the monster's initial attack was just a feint, his arrows slicing harmlessly through the empty silk. A second, faster attack instantly ensnares the archer himself, leaving the captain to scream his teammate's name, Tulse. Helpless, Tulse is dragged through the air toward the creature, as the webs converge into a deadly, piercing spike, which impales him, ending his life in a brutal instant. Tulse screams in terror as the webs pull him in. A sickening crunch echoes through the chamber, leaving Yan Qian and the mage frozen in horror. This spider girl holds his lifeless body, a gruesome prize, slowly consuming him into her monstrous abdomen. Enraged, the captain roars and ignites his massive blade, bringing it down with all his might upon the creature. But she catches the fiery sword with a single hand. His ultimate attack is stopped cold, leaving him stunned. He cannot believe his level 3 power is useless here, just as the monster's silk ensnares his sword arm. With his fate sealed, he mutters that it is all over, desperately yelling for someone to take his sword. Xiao appears, offering a brutal choice, the sword for his life, forcing the captain to decide between his arm and his survival. This captain strains against the monster's binding webs, getting violently thrown across the cavern floor, but Xiao rushes in with his blade drawn. Landing with a ground-shattering stomp, he brings his sword down in a decisive arc, severing the captain's ensnared arm to free him, leaving the man to scream in agony and shock. In the distance, the Spider-Girl boss looms over another victim, so Xiao grabs the captain, pulling him to safety. Yan Qian immediately begins healing the grievous wound. While another hunter panics, not wanting to die here, she breaks rank and flees in terror, prompting Yan Qian to ask why Xiao is not running. Our boy explains the monster let her go on purpose, because these beasts savor the negative emotions of their prey. Yan Qian asks if he fears the god chosen, but Xiao explains they are just monsters blessed by outer gods, scoffing that he has killed countless and faced one from the start. At that moment, the Spider-Girl boss collapses as dark energy erupts, a violent purple mist exploding outward from her body. Panicked, Yan Qian raises her hands to cast a spell, conjuring a poison-repelling barrier to shield the team. This ominous purple gas still swirls around her, her eyes turning white as she is overwhelmed by its power. She realizes with horror this is not poison but spiritual pressure. From the center of the mist, the Spider-Girl sits up, her helmet's red eyes glowing with malevolent intent, a voice mocking why one of them has not collapsed like the others. Zyokyu stands unaffected, revealing his soul is still level 14, his own eyes glowing as he taunts the creature's weak pressure. This scene flashes back to just a moment ago, when Zyokyu unlocked a brand new ability, monster status. With this terrifying new power, he sarcastically thanks the boss, admitting he could not fight seriously with his team around. His eyes glow with demonic energy as a new form takes hold, and he tells the creature it should feel proud to witness him. This Spider-Girl is blasted back by a wave of dark power. As Zyokyu's demonic form lunges forward to attack, he takes a deep breath, focusing his immense strength, then unleashes a devastatingly fast strike, sending the boss flying across the cavern floor. But the helmeted creature rises, its red eyes fixed on him, only to be met by another savage, bladed assault. His monstrous arm carves straight through her defenses, leaving Zyokyu standing over his foe for now. His attack severs one of the monster's legs. Zyokyu mockingly compliments the severed limb, then unleashes a storm of dark energy tendrils which completely overwhelm the Spider-Girl's defenses. He taunts her for being a pathetic god-chosen, admitting he expected more from a level 4 boss and vows she will not live long enough to level up. With another surge of power, he lunges forward again, trapping the creature in a whirlwind of savage strikes. His monstrous form completely dominating the fight. Her arms are sliced clean off in the brutal assault, leaving Zyokyu to declare only one limb remains, but the Spider-Girl glares back with defiant red eyes, planting her feet for a desperate counterattack and rushes forward with a final burst of speed. This Spider-Girl boss lies pinned to the cavern floor, desperately trying to crawl away from her fate, but her glowing red eyes meet only cold indifference. As Zyokyu looms over her, mocking her for underestimating humans, his demonic claw is raised for the final killing blow. With the mission complete, the survivors are teleported away. This scene shifts to a bustling modern city street, where Yan Kaienkian reflects on how the battle felt like a dream. She recalls the captain being rushed to the hospital, now worrying about Zyokyu, who has vanished without a trace. Her thoughts are interrupted by a familiar sight, and she spots Zyokyu standing across the street. Meanwhile, under the bright city sky, our boy learns the system sent him to DOS City, immediately facing the harsh reality of exorbitant rent prices. Zyokyu reflects on his past, where he only had to fight monsters, but his thoughts are interrupted when a girl calls his name. Turning around, he seems curious about the voice. He recognizes her as the shy healer from the secret realm, who seems a little offended by his impersonal greeting. She boldly introduces herself as Yan Zixi, but is mostly just relieved that he is safe. Noticing his confusion, she asks if he needs a place to stay, and an idea begins to form when he admits he is alone. She explains that DOS City is relatively new, leading him through what is known as an urban village. Suddenly, she comes to a stop, announcing that they have arrived at her home. She offers him a separate room so he will not be inconvenienced. And his eyes land on a medal from her retired father. This woman explains her father was a powerful level 5 soldier, even claiming he fought alongside the legendary Mask. She admits it is a story he has told for years, but now she suspects it was just a drunken boast. Zyokyu asks where her father is now. He is gone. This war took too much from him and he passed away after returning. When asked about her mother, she reveals she died in childbirth. Zyokyu listens quietly to her tragic family history, but she brushes it off, insisting she is doing fine now. Changing the subject, she leads him inside the house, offering him a place to stay and a quilt for the night. An empty room in the left wing will be his for now, and grateful, he vows to repay her kindness once he earns more money. Suddenly, the sound of a creaking wheel echoes nearby, revealing a girl in a wheelchair who asks who he is. Yan Zixi introduces Zyokyu to the girl in the wheelchair, Kainliu, who sarcastically questions bringing a stranger home. This girl then wheels herself back into the dark room, leaving Yan Zixi to apologize for her sister's behavior. She explains Kainliu is just upset about her hero, Mask, and our boy is surprised to learn he has so many fans. In her room, Kainliu scrolls through online comments, reading hateful posts calling Mask a selfish coward. Enraged, she clenches her fists, screaming that they do not understand. Her fingers fly across the keyboard to defend her hero, but a voice from the door calls her to dinner. Kainliu yells back that she is busy and not eating, sarcastically questioning why she should welcome a guest like he is Mask. Resigned, Yan Zixi accepts her sister's refusal, turning to Zyokyu to apologize for the simple meal for two. Zyokyu enjoys the simple meal, calling it very good, a stark contrast to his past, eating unseasoned monster meat, where he believed any food was a blessing in the fight for humanity. During their meal, a news report suddenly catches their attention, a program discussing the mysterious disappearance of Mask. One commentator suggests Mask is a criminal on the run, claiming he faked giving up his power to escape justice. This other host then questions the impact of his absence, but the first pundit scoffs, crediting Parliament for humanity's victories, not the groundless myth of a single, irreplaceable hero. Zyokyu listens as the broadcast declares humanity will thrive without Mask, prompting Yan Zixi to ask if he is truly a criminal. She turns to Zyokyu for his opinion, surprised by his appetite. Our boy just shrugs it off, repeating the news report's claims, but she passionately defends the hero, insisting he must have his reasons. Over dinner, Yan Zixi questions Zyokyu's cold indifference to the hero Mask. even joking her sister, Liu, would smash the TV over the program. Their meal is interrupted by a furious pounding at the front door, and Yan Qian appears, identifying the men as Kaijung investment. Outside, the thugs threat to burn the entire house down, so a determined Yan Qian rushes to confront them directly, throwing the doors open to face the intruders. A group of men led by a smirking boss greets her mockingly, but she stands firm, declaring she will never sell the house. This leader counters, revealing he knows her hunter team just fell apart. Stunned, she learns the company uses its connections to spy on people. He sneers that with her team gone, she has no one left to protect her, leaving her speechless and visibly shaken by the threat. Holding up 5 fingers, the man gives the sisters a final deadline. He follows with an offer of 100,000 if they give up their land. Yan Zixi argues about a sudden, drastic price drop for her house. But a smarmy man explains the real estate market is volatile, using her sister's medical debt to pressure her into selling. His attention is suddenly drawn to Xiao Q standing behind her, and he mockingly asks if the kid is her new boyfriend. This man then extends his hand for a formal greeting, introducing himself as Tujing Kenzo from an investment company. Xiao Q calmly reaches out to accept the handshake, their hands clasping in a seemingly normal gesture. But Yan Zixi screams a warning about his mental attacks. This handshake tightens as the psychic assault begins, and Tujing smirks, confident his power has taken hold. Dark energy erupts between the two men, yet Xiao Q remains completely unfazed by the pressure, his own eye glowing with a strange, powerful light. Tujing dives into the psychic realm, vowing to shatter his opponent's mind, feeling generous enough to only leave the kid with a concussion. But something feels wrong, and he wonders why the invasion is stalled. A sudden jolt of shock hits him, as he finds himself not in a mind but a vast, empty ocean. This thug cannot comprehend how a human could possess this much mental power, and his first instinct is to flee immediately. Panic now replaces his earlier confidence, for a colossal tidal wave rises to block his escape. This crushing force of the water slams down upon him, revealing that Xiao Q is on a completely different level. Now submerged, he is trapped within the boy's overwhelming power, his face a mask of pure, dawning horror. Then in the darkness, 2 demonic red eyes ignite, forcing a terrified scream from the man who now sees a monster. A thug desperately tries to wake the fallen Tujing, leaving Yan Zixi to wonder what just happened. Another goon furiously accuses Xiao Q of the attack, but a firm hand suddenly stops his advance. This leader holds him back, questioning his foolish rage. They realize their opponent might be a level 3 psychic, and the boss sneers that Yan Zixi found a powerful backer, issuing a final threat before preparing to leave. Stunned, Yan Zixi asks if he really defeated Tujing, and Xiao Q calmly states the man brought it on himself. He asks how long this has been going on, prompting her to explain, recalling the years of harassment that terrified her sister. She reveals joining Captain Song's team was their only protection. But the thugs return the moment the captain was injured. Xiao Q then asks about government aid, revealing he created that policy. Yan Zixi explains that any special treatment is a lie, as the system favors wealthy companies over people like them. Xiao Q just smirks, unimpressed by the world's corruption. Later that evening, he starts washing the dishes, insisting it is the least he can do to show his gratitude. She thanks him, admitting she was lost without his help today, and asks about his plans to join a new hunter team. Yan Zixi reveals she is waiting for her own captain to recover. She warns him about the dangers of team betrayal in the secret realms, where even masks' laws against killing are hard to enforce. Despite the risks, she promises to find him a reliable party. He simply agrees, hiding his grim internal thoughts, knowing that no human can ever truly fight alongside a monster. A sudden noise snaps him out of his dark reflection, and a wisp of blue energy materializes in a grand, empty hall. A brilliant blue portal tears open inside a stone hall, and Xiao Q steps through, entering a new dimension. This system's portal allows him to bypass all official entry protocols, letting him observe the secret realm's medieval European architecture. Walking down a long, checkered corridor, he senses something is off. 2 menacing gargoyle statues guard the path ahead. He calmly identifies the stone sentinels at the entrance. Just as cracks begin to spread across their stony feet, their petrified wings start to crumble away, and a pair of crimson eyes suddenly blaze to life. This scarlet gargoyle breaks free from its perch, a living monster now. Xiao Q recalls they are tough demons, resistant to both magic and physical attacks. He realizes Yan Zixi's team would have been decimated by such a foe. As both stone beasts now prepare to strike him down, one of the creatures lunges forward with a terrifying roar. This gargoyle lunges with a furious roar, but Xiao Q simply smirks, calling it a pity, for they were unlucky enough to face him. With a single devastating blow, the first beast shatters into dust, its stone form completely obliterated by his power. He stands alone in the vast cathedral hall for a moment, until more stone figures emerge from the settling debris. An entire army of gargoyles lines the towering walls, and our boy simply challenges them all to attack. Responding to his taunt, dozens of statues crack to life, their monstrous forms swarming down from their perches, leaving Xiao Q to crouch low, preparing for the onslaught. This horde descends upon him from all sides, so he launches himself directly into the fray, tearing through the first wave with brutal efficiency. With a flash of crimson energy, his blade slices through the stone monster, and the first gargoyle shatters into 1,000 pieces. Silence returns to the ruined hall, dust settling on the floor. In his full demonic form, Xiao turns to face the remaining guardian, which now stares back with an expression of pure shock. He taunts the creature, wondering aloud if a gargoyle can feel fear, then instantly teleports behind it, grabbing the beast by its neck, holding the struggling sentinel aloft as dark power gathers. A violent explosion of energy erupts from his hand, completely obliterating the second monster from existence. But as the smoke clears, Xiao senses he is no longer alone. A new, far more powerful gargoyle leader appears, spear in hand, and our boy notes its unsettlingly human-like appearance. This boss declares that this form is an insult to its kind, only fueling its desire to utterly destroy him. Behind the grand doors, another team prepares to enter the realm, kicking them open with a powerful strike. A new party of hunters bursts in, armed and ready for battle. They step into a hall of absolute devastation, littered with rubble. One member questions their captain, believing they were the first to arrive, but the leader confirms the bureau guaranteed the realm was sealed. A female teammate examines the remains, sensing a powerful presence was here, and points to the clean fractures in the stone, explaining blunt weapons do not leave such large, clean breaks. This gargoyle was not just defeated, it was torn apart like a rag. Her captain cannot believe it was done with bare hands, questioning how it is possible. But another hunter points upwards, certain of the answer, directing everyone's gaze high up the cathedral wall. This second gargoyle is impaled, pinned like a trophy for all to see. Meanwhile, at the Secret Realm Inspection Bureau, this discovery is about to cause waves. A furious official slams down a report demanding results, revealing that 7 teams found their targets already eliminated. In the boardroom, this is declared a serious breach of protocol, but one agent wonders if it is not actually a good thing. This director explodes, warning this could endanger all of humanity. What if he asks the infiltrator plans to ambush official teams? This new generation, he scolds, does not know the old days of betrayal, when humans killing humans was the greatest threat of all. Getting back on topic, he holds up a file on the Gargoyle Secret Realm and deduces the lone infiltrator must be a level 4 or 5 professional. He explains the consistent kill patterns point to a single person, who, after clearing so many realms, must have a surplus of loot to sell. An order is given to watch all trading markets for the specific items, sending the scene to the professional trading market in Dah City, where a muscular merchant hands over a large stack of cash for goods received. Xiao casually accepts the cash for his secret realm materials, knowing he was likely underpaid but unconcerned with the money, as only the system's tasks and rewards truly matter for his growth. This cash is just enough to cover his rent at Yan Zixi's place, until a nearby negotiation catches his attention with a lowball offer. He sees a young woman trying to sell a well-maintained longsword, but the sleazy merchant dismisses it as worthless scrap metal. She is heartbroken to hear her father's precious blade so insulted, so the man feigns pity, raising his offer to a paltry 3,500. Desperate for money to cover medical expenses, she feels trapped, while the merchant smirks, knowing she is completely unaware of its value, for the blade is forged from rare ember iron worth a massive profit. He pressures her to sell quickly before he retracts the generous offer, and just as she is about to give in, a voice tells her to wait. It is Xiao stepping in to stop the shady transaction. Xiao's eyes lock onto a particular item for sale, a level 5 blade mysteriously stained with a demon god's blood. He immediately tells the seller he wants to buy it, but another merchant angrily interrupts their deal. Ignoring the man, Xiao hands over a huge stack of cash, leaving the outbid competitor in utter disbelief. Later, the two of them sit together on a park bench, and she tries to return most of the money out of gratitude, but he insists she keep it as payment for her help. He then reveals the blade is worth far more than she knows, prompting her to comment on his own mysterious nature. She promises not to pry into his secrets or tell anyone, asking only that he care for the blade, a family heirloom. Our boy considers its name Flying Crow, finding it fitting, while she clutches the cash, revealing she sold it to save someone's life. Yan Zixi brings up the Great Ghost incident in Dah City, recalling how the level 10 monster laid waste to everything, and her own father was killed in the attack, leaving only his sword. This beast's deadliest weapon was a radiation that turned the sky green, and caught at the very edge of the blast was her sister, Kaian Liu. Once a sword prodigy, her sister was destined for greatness, but now the radiation requires constant, expensive treatment to survive. Xiao internally recalls killing that weak monster with a single punch, and the memory only fuels his deep-seated hatred for all monsters. He asks about the government aid that should have covered her sister's care, but relieved after sharing her story, she suggests they head back now, playfully promising to show him her real level of cooking. Unseen, 2 men in suits follow them down the park path, bureau agents wondering aloud if they will really find their target here. But the lead agent is confident their infiltrator will try to sell his loot. 2 agents vow to find the secret realm thief. While back at the sister's home, an uneasy night falls. Inside, Yan Zixi's sister vents her frustrations online, when a sudden aggressive knocking echoes through the house, and she realizes it is the thugs from the investment company. This pounding on the door grows more violent, filling the young woman with a familiar dread. Her eyes land on a wooden practice sword nearby, and with trembling hands she grabs it for protection. Determined, she wheels herself to face the intruders. Just as the door shatters inward and the thugs barge in, their leader smirking knowing someone was home, he spots the sister and cruelly mocks her defiance, belittling her attempt to fight with a wooden sword. But her spirit is unbroken as she raises the blade to strike. This thug leader easily dodges her desperate swing, mocking her effort. But the momentum sends her crashing from her wheelchair to the ground. Helpless, she can only glare up and curse him with pure defiance, until his foot slams down, pinning her wooden sword beneath his shoe. Taunting the fallen sword prodigy who cannot even reach him now, he orders his men to search the house for the others, vowing revenge, and the thugs immediately begin ransacking the home, turning it upside down. A subordinate soon reports that Yan Zixi and Zio Q are nowhere to be found. Unwilling to leave empty-handed, the leader decides to take her as bait, though one of his men worries that kidnapping is going too far. This boss, however, has a much more sinister plan in mind, handing his subordinate a set of truck keys for a special task, ordering him to stage a minor accident when the others return. His men stand ready, prepared to execute the brutal scheme. As a violent storm begins to brew outside, a heavy rain falls over the city streets. As Yan Zixi and Zio Q hurry home through the downpour, but as they round the corner, her eyes widen in horror. She sees her sister on the ground, the front door shattered. Liu glares with pure hatred, clutching her wooden sword, and Yan Zixi screams her sister's name, rushing forward. She instantly recognizes the work of the investment company thugs. Asking Zio Q to help her sister inside, she turns to the yard, and he begins wheeling the injured girl toward the house. Until a sudden noise makes them both turn back. Zio Q's gaze hardens, sensing a new threat nearby, for their entire front yard has been buried in trash. Yan Zixi stands before the mountain of filth, utterly defeated, when a truck driver mockingly asks if this is her house, cruelly suggesting she stand in the rain to clean herself. Yan Zixi watches a truck leave, a threat from the Kaijiang company echoing in the rain. Her sister Liu cries out in horror from her wheelchair. As her own hands grip the handles in helpless frustration, she tries to follow, but Zio Q holds her back, telling her to let Yan Zixi go, explaining that chasing after her will only cause more pain. He can only watch as Yan Zixi walks away through the wreckage, her back turned to them as she faces the consequences alone. With grim determination, she leaves them behind in the downpour, leaving Zio Q and Liu standing together amidst the ruin. This young woman looks up, asking why this has all happened, and desperately questions if there is any justice left in the world. Zio Q answers with cold certainty there never was. She argues for fairness, but he explains that such ideals are built on injustice, taking her wooden sword as he points out that even the rain is unequal, for it falls on the suffering and the wicked without distinction. A voice declares this world is unjust, like the falling rain. Then Zio Q shatters the wooden sword with his bare hand, leaving Liu in tears, her only weapon destroyed. He coldly states her family's problems are minor to him, yet trouble always seems to find him anyway. As he turns to leave, she asks where he is going, his only reply a chilling promise to eliminate them. Horrified, she warns him Kaijiang's fighters are high-level professionals, begging him not to go, certain he will be killed. Unsheathing the flying crow, he admits it is a hassle, but reveals his own way of dealing with boredom, using overwhelming violence to solve his problems. This rain pours down on the city skyline, focusing on the Kaijiang investment headquarters, where two executives finalize their shady business deal. Zio Q arrives at the company headquarters in the pouring rain, his eyes filled with cold, unwavering resolve. Inside, the Kaijiang executives are completely unaware of his approach, until one of them notices something amiss. Through the revolving door walks Zio Q, his blade dripping with rainwater, and the men dismiss him as just another troublemaker. Two guards step forward, demanding he drop his weapon, but our boy simply walks right past them, ignoring their threats. In a flash, he moves with silent, deadly speed, leaving the guards stunned as blood suddenly appears on their faces. Their bodies then explode in a gory display, shocking everyone in the lobby. Triggering a new mission for his blade, the blood sacrificial blade. A cold smile touches his lips as he accepts the task. Just as more armed guards pour out from an elevator, he stands ready to face them all, his blade already tasting blood. A guard shouts a warning about the hostile intruder, but Zio Q is already surrounded by 4 swordsmen. 2 of them immediately lunge forward to attack, effortlessly blocking both their blades with the flying crow. He moves in a blur, too fast for them to track, and in an instant 2 of the thugs are dispatched. This remaining guards stare in disbelief at their fallen comrades. As a dangerous red light glints in Zio Q's eye, one of the men is frozen in pure terror, seeing the blur of the blade just before it strikes. This flying crow pierces straight through his chest, exiting clean through his back in a brutal display. He holds the man aloft on the sword for a moment, while the last thug sees an opening, thinking the blade is stuck, and leaps from above for a final desperate attack. Zio Q strikes with the scabbard, impaling a thug instantly. This man dies wondering why a weapon user's strike is so powerful, and our boy stands over him, blade in hand, utterly unfazed. He walks through the lobby, leaving a trail of blood and terror. While upstairs, the Kaijiang executives celebrate their cruel plan, anticipating the massive profits from the sisters' land. Suddenly, a subordinate bursts into the room in a panic, reporting that someone is fighting their way through the building. This executives learn it is just a single intruder on a killing spree, and their leader scoffs, certain they only target the weak. Confident, he decides to deal with the problem himself, summoning a massive, sparking battle axe from thin air. This three of them march out to confront the lone attacker, but the leader stops short, sensing something is wrong. As a terrified survivor begs for his life down the hall, Zio-Q's blade cuts down the first guard instantly, leaving the thug dead in the hallway. From the top of the stairs, he looks down without emotion. This executives inside are alerted by the commotion, but their leader rallies them, boasting of their level 4 strength. One summons an ice crystal, ready for a fight, while the boss materializes a massive, fiery axe, and their third man draws an energy-infused pistol. They confront Zio-Q, offering a quick death if he surrenders, until one of them recognizes him as the one who hospitalized their man. Our boy notes that fighting three of them as a human is a hassle, so he slams his sword down, shattering the lights, plunging the entire office into absolute darkness. This thugs wonder if he is some kind of assassin who thrives in the shadows, as a voice declares that in the dark he is king. One of the thugs activates his night vision, boasting he owns the dark, but he looks down to see monstrous feet on the floor, revealing Zio-Q has transformed into a demonic warrior. This man can only stammer in terror at the creature before him. While outside, the storm rages against the building. His enhanced sight is useless against this new primal fear, as the monster stands silently in the shadows. In a flash, it lunges forward with impossible speed. And the executive opens fire, spraying bullets into the void. A bloody blade suddenly erupts from his chest. Hearing the commotion, the leader calls out for his man, smelling blood. He fears the worst as his subordinate lies dead on the floor. Just then, lightning illuminates the skyscraper's peak, exposing the demonic Zio-Q blade raised for the kill. Its weapon swings down in a brutal, bloody arc. This axe-wielding leader blocks a strike from the demonic form. Realizing with cold dread he was nearly killed instantly, while his blonde partner watches with grim focus, summoning a massive ice arrow to finish the fight. Zio-Q's monstrous form blurs out of the way, raising a clawed hand to meet the incoming threat. As the icy projectile smashes into the ground where he stood, he effortlessly shatters the attack into 1,000 shards, his demonic body crackling with dark energy, and his glowing red eyes lock onto the next target. This axe-wielder hears a sudden, sickening sound, looking up just as his partner's body falls from the ceiling. Before a thin red line appears across his own throat, he chokes out a final curse, feeling the fatal cut. As Zio-Q stands over the other executive's corpse, in the darkness his blade is slick with blood, and the terrified executives brace for the inevitable. One of them, stammering as a shape, emerges from the shadows, revealing Zio-Q in a terrifying demonic form. He moves in a blur, his red eyes glowing, and 3 crimson slashes tear through the pitch-black room, leaving the executives dead on the floor. Suddenly, a powerful voice bellows for him to stop, as a new fighter appears at the top of the stairs. Zio-Q's demonic form sniffs the air, sensing a level 6 professional. This swordsman studies him, noting the lack of demonic madness, and quickly rules out a simple transformation ability, identifying him as a rare human-demon hybrid. He realizes this discovery will please the powers behind Jang, and with a wicked grin the swordsman lunges forward to attack. An energy blade slices down toward his head, but Zio-Q narrowly dodges the brutal strike. This gunman is shocked by his demonic speed, yet confidently claims he has found his opponent's limits. He unleashes a blinding flurry of slashes, cutting deep into Zio-Q's monstrous form. Mocking his resilience, he calls him a tenacious pest. Then lunges forward with a final decisive blow. His glowing blade pierces straight through Zio-Q's chest, sending the demon reeling back from the impact. A triumphant smirk crosses the executive's face. He fell for the trap. With his other hand, he reveals his true weapon, pulling out a massive, high-caliber revolver. He takes aim at the stunned demon, and his finger tightens on the trigger. A point-blank shot explodes against the demon's head. And the gunman smirks, certain his perfect aim has ended it. He considers the value of the creature's corpse, but the smoke clears, revealing an unharmed monster. His confidence shatters into pure sweating disbelief, knowing that from such a close distance, dodging was impossible, unless Zio-Q had predicted the entire feint. This demon identifies his opponent's fighting style by name, a rapier technique known for its precision and deadly evasion. Zio-Q reveals the style was created only for the righteous, and the gunman laughs, claiming he is doing just that. Our boy, now human again, questions if destroying families is righteous work, but the swordsman dismisses his quest for revenge, declaring that anything hindering human progress is a sin. He vows to uphold a righteousness the monster will never understand. This swordsman unleashes a storm of righteous green slashes, but Zio-Q's demonic form takes the hit, seeing the truth. Mocking his opponent's twisted sense of justice. In an instant, the swordsman's confidence shatters, as a crimson tendril shoots directly toward his face. He stares in utter disbelief, unable to even react. Just before the demonic appendage impales his shoulder, it retracts with vicious speed and brutal force, while another one erupts from the man's own mouth, his silent scream lost in the raging storm outside. Held aloft by the demonic limbs, he calls it a sneak attack. Desperately asking what kind of monster he is fighting, Zio-Q's voice echoes from inside the demonic mask, reminding the man he already revealed his identity in the dark. His terrifying form stands over his victim, radiating absolute power. This sword begins to thrum with dark power, and a crimson aura envelops the blade as tendrils of blood erupt from Zio-Q's body. His weapon has been reborn as the Blood Raven, a demonic sword with unlimited growth potential. Holding it, he can feel a strange heartbeat within, a growing monster paired with a growing blade. This last surviving executive watches in horror, as Zio Q's demonic form turns its attention to him. This terrified man pleads for his life, but our boy simply raises his newly awakened weapon, uttering its name for the first time. A massive wave of bloody energy is unleashed, surging toward the helpless executive, whose final moments are filled with pure terror. A brutal slash echoes through the night, as blood splatters across the skyscraper's glass facade. While down below, the city defense army forms a perimeter. A soldier reports to his commander that the building is secured, but the officer orders them to hold their fire for now. Knowing Kaijang is full of criminals, yet justice must be served properly, he vows that every last one of them will be punished, when a soldier spots a figure emerging from the entrance, revealing a blood-soaked Zio Q walking calmly into the rain. Elsewhere, the sisters learn of his suicidal solo mission, and Yan Kaienkian grabs an umbrella, her mind made up, rushing out into the storm to find him. She arrives on the scene, searching through the downpour, until a soldier from the defense army approaches her, asking her to come with them for an investigation. A soldier shows her a photo, asking if she recognizes the man, and her eyes widen in shock. It is Zio Q. Desperately, she asks what happened and if he is still alive, but the officer confirms he is in perfect health. He is being held at the City Defense Army's exclusive prison, where Zio Q sits bound in an interrogation room. A high-ranking commander watches him, asking for a status update, and his subordinate reports that the boy only confessed to the attack, revealing nothing else but his name with no official records to be found. Their investigation connected him to Yan Zixi, who another bureau was also pursuing, finding the entire situation deeply mysterious. This commander learns Zixi is a level 2 healer with a level 5 father, a retired soldier whose strength had declined after an injury. This man later died in an incident that also left one of his daughters disabled. While in another room, Yan Zixi recounts meeting Zio Q in the secret realm. An officer reviews the case, noting Zio Q's righteous motive for revenge, and calls him a truly bloodthirsty swordsman. A subordinate enters the room, addressing him as Director Arthur, who decides they must personally handle the interrogation. An analyst notes their top-tier power levels, confident the target is no match. This interrogation room door creaks open, revealing Zio Q waiting calmly inside. His gaze is steady, almost unnerving, catching Director Arthur completely off guard. This director realizes the boy's nostalgic stare is fixed on his cloak. Holding a file, he confirms the kid's identity and begins to lay out the consequences for his crimes. Zio Q is given two choices: death or service in a deadly battalion. This atonement battalion offers no hope of survival against endless monsters. Our boy asks if fighting monsters is punishment, implying he has already paid his dues. This commander questions Zio Q about his time on the front lines. Sharing a knowing glance with Director Arthur, he knows few professionals can survive that hell, revealing that both he and the director are veterans of that war. This director boasts of his 10 years of service, while the commander presents a medal earned under the legendary Lord Mask. He admits he only ever watched the hero from a distance. As Director Arthur slams the table, demanding respect for their fragile peace, this man warns that any instability threatens the federal parliament itself. Leaning over the table to intimidate the silent kid, he presses him, asking if he understands the gravity of the situation, that his actions could cause mass panic and cost countless lives. Zio Q remains silent, his head bowed, while the two officials watch, their patience wearing thin. This commander warns that defying the government is a futile gesture. A high-ranking officer warns that his transfer to the capital will be harsh, then leaves the room with a final, ominous click. Inside, Zio Q considers the transfer to the federal capital, but knows it is not yet time for his return. His mind flashes back to a past mission, the Great Obscenity, a monster he knew would return from his previous life. He remembers his past identity as the hero Mask, who defeated the beast only to face the public's scorn. They blamed him for the casualties, demanding he apologize, forcing him to stand trial for saving them. In this life, however, he has abandoned that heroic mantle, now questioning why he should care about their fate at all. Meanwhile, the two officers discuss Zio Q's claims, with the commander noting his unprecedented strength and speed. He concludes the boy possesses dual abilities, a rare power. This commander considers Zio Q's genius for killing a level 6 professional, but Director Arthur dismisses him as a fool, leaving his fate to the Federation. His subordinate agrees, recalling how even the hero Mask once faced a trial. And compared to that legend, this kid is insignificant, his cigarette's embers fading into the darkness. This scene shifts to the gleaming federal capital, Star City. This city stands as a symbol of humanity's rebirth after the Dark Ages, where inside a government meeting, officials discuss Zio Q's rampage. A blonde official examines a photo, acknowledging the boy's talent, but another man slams the table, arguing such talent is a threat to society. Demanding a public execution, privately fuming over his lost business front, this blonde leader overrules him, assigning Zio Q to the atonement battalion. This decision leaves the other man stunned. He worries that failing to get revenge will make his other subordinates disloyal, but the blonde leader cuts him off, dismissing his concerns for more important matters. A furious official demands to know why Mask is still missing, as the Federation's council convenes in a sterile boardroom. This president insists the hero must be hiding just out of reach. while Zio Q's file lies right under his nose. His subordinates try to calm him, claiming Mask is now powerless, but the president recalls his impossible escape from the courtroom. A councilman argues they all felt his energy disperse, and with public opinion turned against him, he is no longer a threat. Still, the president sees any uncontrolled element as a danger to his rule. Admitting he sacrificed much just to have the hero expelled, he declares they must find Mask for the good of all, then changes the subject. Just as a new report reveals a crisis on the monster front lines, this president despairs at how useless his forces have become, with monster appearances surging by a staggering 32%. A member finally wonders if they pushed their former hero too far. A blonde official glares, questioning a subordinate's dissent, who quickly backs down, clutching his documents in fear. This official scoffs at their reliance on the hero Mask, proposing to redeploy city garrisons he deems complacent. One council member objects, calling the city defense force essential, but another smirks, accusing him of protecting his profits. His family's business supplies the force, making downsizing a threat. This man erupts in anger, but the lead official silences him. He declares the decision final: the forces will be downsized. Then he holds up Zio Q's file, ordering his transfer to the capital. Meanwhile, at the Da City Defense Force building, the sisters are told they are free to go for now, but they may be called back to act as witnesses. An officer explains the case is a major one, requiring their testimony, leaving Yan Zixi to wonder why Zio Q is being called a villain. A young soldier argues that killing is always wrong, but Yan Zixi fiercely retorts, calling his victims the true monsters who destroyed families. A high-ranking commander surprisingly concedes her point, leaving his subordinate, Commander Jiang, completely stunned. Yan Zixi listens, her gaze fixed on the officer, who insists that justice must be served by the system, prompting her to ask why they failed to act sooner. She is left wondering if they must simply endure evil, while the commander's expression reveals his own conflict. Tells her that personal rebellion is not the answer. Her hand grips the wheelchair's armrest tightly, as she questions if even fighting back is a crime, concluding that the world itself must be a mistake. Elsewhere, a woman named Qian Liu appears, too weary to protest injustice anymore. Qian Liu tells her sister it is time to go home, and with a determined gaze, Yan Zixi agrees. Watching them leave, the commander laments her inability to walk, but Commander Zhang questions his strange remark. He explains that anger can be a source of incredible strength, a power Yan Zixi wishes she had possessed back then. His subordinate scoffs, calling it useless rage trapped in a wheelchair. This scene shifts to their quiet, empty home. Inside, Qian Liu tells her sister to rest, vowing to help Zio Q. But Yan Zixi remains silent, her head bowed in thought. A fire burns in her eyes as a new resolve forms. Alone in her room, she sits in the quiet space, deciding that if the world has darkness, she will become the light. This floor cracks beneath her foot as she pushes herself up. Rising from her chair, she declares the sun is no longer needed. Back at their apartment, someone stands in the doorway, then takes a hesitant step forward, walking into the room after their release. Qian Liu returns with the trash, apologizing for the mess, but her eyes widen in utter shock, seeing Yan Zixi's sister standing on her own 2 feet. This younger girl reaches out desperately, calling for her sister, her hand glowing with a strange, unstable energy, as monstrous tendrils erupt from her body, screaming for them to run. Elsewhere, military officials complain about the chaos on the front lines, as Commander Jiang gathers his officers for a critical meeting. Suddenly, his senses flare with alarm, an impossible aura felt from across the city. He recognizes the presence of the great obscenity. His men protest, insisting the hero Mask already defeated that monster. A high-ranking official smashes through glass, ordering a city evacuation. He vows to bear the consequences, his power surging. Meanwhile, the city streets are deceptively calm, where a citizen watches a news report on Zio Q's capture. He then notices some early spring flowers, wondering why they have bloomed so soon. This pink roses seem perfectly normal at first, but then they begin to glow and mutate, growing to an unnatural size before his eyes. This man looks on in stunned confusion, as a monstrous winged insect descends from the sky. This giant bee lands upon one of the mutated flowers, its legs gently touching the petals, revealing a stinger made of twisted blossoms, a grotesque fusion of nature and monster. A single rose wilts against a stormy sky. In the city, a traffic light turns green, and pedestrians begin to cross the street. One young man tells his friend it is safe to go, but his companion suddenly freezes in place, his face contorting in silent agony, as thorny vines and roses erupt from his skin. This friend can only scream in terror, watching petals swirl around the victim's hand, whose body twists into an inhuman shape. Nearby, a woman finds the sight beautiful, smiling as chaos erupts around her, just before she is engulfed in a fleshy cocoon, which bursts open to reveal a mass of faces. She has become a rose-headed monster, one of many now on the streets. A powerful warrior arrives on the scene, telling everyone not to panic, and the terrified civilians cheer, believing a professional has saved them. He channels immense energy into his blade, unleashing a devastating strike on the fleshy monster. Standing in the fiery aftermath, he scoffs at the weak foe, but his confidence suddenly shatters. As a civilian behind him mutates, sprouting a monstrous arm, another witness recognizes the terrifying green glow of the infection, confirming the return of the great obscenity. Elsewhere, Commander Jiang sees winged demons swarming the sky. as his superior explains the radiation has changed its nature. Its corrupting intent, however, remains the same. Landing on a rooftop, the high-ranking commander names the new threat human flowers, warning his squad that monsters evolve beyond all reason. He orders them to contain the highly infectious outbreak at all costs. A triumphant cry echoes as dark energy spreads across the city, and a man screams for help caught in a glowing green grip. As another citizen watches the rose monsters consume the populace, this high-ranking commander arrives, ordering everyone to the ground, berating his men for freezing in the face of the attack. His own power begins to flare, his mustache igniting with flame, summoning a massive beast of pure fire and lightning, which roars past a terrified civilian, erupting into a towering inferno in the city street. When the fire recedes, only smoldering ash remains, incinerating the monsters, leaving a survivor to believe they are saved. But a single speck of ash lands on his cheek, causing his face to horribly mutate, transforming him into another one of the rose-headed abominations. He realizes the ash itself carries the great obscenity's infection. From above, a green plague consumes the entire city, as massive vines choke the skyscrapers from below, turning the streets into a monstrous garden. And Commander Jang can only call it a green hell. A strange, glowing hive pulses at the center of it all, while the high-ranking commander orders his men to hold all fire, warning that even a single piece of debris is highly infectious, prompting Jiang to approach his superior demanding answers. But the old man can only state the obvious: disaster. Jiang recognizes the scent of the great obscenity, and Chief Arthur reveals its terrifying trait, immortality. He compares it to a jellyfish that can revert its age, explaining that even this power is relative, requiring a medium to persist. This radiation it left behind became the medium for its return, leaving Commander Jiang to curse the impossible enemy. This high-ranking official demands an explanation for the chaos, and Commander Jiang recounts Mask's original orders to cleanse the city. An order corrupt officials ignored, embezzling funds instead. Jiang laments that none of this would be happening if they had just listened. This official director Arthur cuts him off, asking for the current infection status, demanding the precise location of the great obscenity's core. A shocked Jiang calls it a suicide mission against a disaster-level monster, but Arthur senses no true level 10 threat in the city yet. He explains the creature is in a weakened, mutated state, insisting they must eliminate it now or pay a far higher price later. Commander Jiang is left speechless by his commander's resolve, then rushes off to retrieve the energy data map for the mission. Meanwhile, across the sprawling, futuristic city, a breaking news report flashes across public screens, announcing the mobilization of city defense forces to the front lines. This news confirms Parliament is mobilizing the city's defense army. But the broadcast is suddenly interrupted by an emergency bulletin. Passengers on a train watch in horror as a disaster-level monster is reported, revealing the terrifying state of DOS City, now consumed by monstrous vines. On social media, citizens recall Mask's previous battle here, questioning why their hero has not appeared to save them. An evacuee posts photos from the scene describing the green hell, while others react with disbelief and fear at the scale of the outbreak. This witness confirms the infection turns people into monsters, a resurrected great obscenity. A new post suddenly claims the city's commander has already killed the monster, but the official news clarifies he has only just entered the fray, promising a live broadcast from the heart of the disaster zone. This feed opens on the eerie, silent cityscape, where Commander Jiang stands alone amidst the towering tendrils. He then dashes forward, a level 7 powerhouse moving too fast for the monsters to track. Commander Jiang leaps through the overgrown city, his men wondering why he has suddenly stopped. He stares up at a building choked by monstrous vines, his eyes locking onto the one responsible. A woman clad in leaves stands atop a giant rose, her face partially obscured by a flower. Jiang scoffs at her godlike appearance, recalling how monsters have always mimicked deities to deceive humans. Over the comms, a subordinate urgently warns him, identifying her as the reincarnated great obscenity. This commander calmly confirms he already knows, as the monster taunts him, asking if he feels regret. His fist crackles with lightning as he answers, unleashing a storm of raw power across the ruins, roaring that his only regret is not killing her when she was helpless. Commander Jiang unleashes a massive energy blast, which slams directly into the flower monster's head, impressing a news crew filming from a nearby helicopter. He floats amidst the crackling energy, confident in his strike, but his expression quickly turns to utter shock. As the monster's head erupts in a mass of green vines, her face reforms instantly, a flower blooming over her eye. Giant tendrils chase the retreating helicopter through the city, while the plant-like woman stands reborn atop the vines, her eyes glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. This flower over her eye peels back, revealing a serene gaze, forcing Jiang to recognize her high-speed regeneration. In the chopper, the crew panics at her impossible survival, prompting an enraged Jiang to power up for another attack, unleashing an even greater torrent of lightning from his fist. A woman is struck by beams of pure light, but the great obscenity's avatar simply absorbs the energy, mocking the sunlight meant to dispel darkness. Director Arthur looks on in utter disbelief, launching himself across the vine-choked rooftops, his senses screaming with immense danger. A voice taunts him, questioning his speed, as he blazes through the city like a bolt of lightning, only to realize she's even faster than him. This flower-eyed monster appears beside him, calling his power a joke, and sends him plummeting from the sky. She whispers that everyone he tries to save will die waiting, his body crashing down through the corrupted city. Leaving a news crew to watch the impossible unfold. Trapped by monstrous vines, Arthur learns it is not about speed at all. This monster reveals she can teleport through the vines, while over the comms a frantic voice warns Jang to retreat. An analyst explains she is immortal as long as the flowers live, prompting an official to demand they annihilate the entire area. Director Arthur, trapped, considers his dire situation. Surrounded by monsters, he questions if escape is even possible. But instead of fleeing, he calmly adjusts his uniform, his hand drifting down to the medals on his chest, a symbol of a lifetime spent in service. A lifetime of battle flashes in his eyes. This great obscenity mocks his apparent surrender, calling him a trapped animal as blue lightning crackles around him. But his energy suddenly shifts from blue to a burning red, his entire body radiating a dangerous new power, roaring that this is him fighting until his very last breath. A crimson pillar of lightning descends upon the city, erupting in a cataclysmic blast of raw power, leaving the news crew to wonder if Jiang is committing suicide. But director Arthur knows this is no suicide attempt, as his subordinate screams at Jiang for this insane gamble. This great obscenity identifies his technique as ultimate release, a forbidden art that burns life force for immense power, and she taunts him with her knowledge of the consequences. Jiang's face is a mask of pure, unyielding resolve, launching himself forward like a living thunderbolt. But the monster boasts of her instant teleportation, only for his energy to engulf her mid-thought. She realizes in horror his fist is faster than her mind, as the commander closes the distance for a final blow. His very body is a battlefield, constantly infected and purged in agonizing pain. This news crew celebrates, believing Jiang's attack was a one-hit kill. But director Arthur knows the truth. The monster is far from dead. On their screens, energy readings confirm its power is only growing stronger, and he reveals a shocking truth: this is not the great obscenity at all. His confused subordinate demands an explanation. Arthur recounts the legend of Antaeus, a giant who drew strength from the earth. This mutated obscenity is just like him, powered by thousands of infected citizens. She is one entity, but also a legion of 10,000 souls. This team struggles to comprehend this horrifying reality, until a sudden realization dawns on one of them. As the energy readings spike to the highest possible level, Arthur panics, realizing it is now a level 9 disaster and still growing. High above the doomed city, Commander Jiang burns his own life force, a sacrifice that even impresses the great obscenity's avatar. He recalls his old dream of being a wandering hero, ready for his final stand. This great obscenity questions why her foe let so many die in darkness. Her taunt echoing through the monstrous roses, a question repeated by every twisted abomination in the city. Her psychic message hangs over the entire green hell. Elsewhere, defense forces struggle to maintain a golden energy shield, their strength rapidly failing under the immense pressure, as the rose-headed abominations swarm the golden barrier. But just as the shield is about to break, the creatures retreat, leaving the soldiers to believe they have actually survived. One soldier catches his breath, sensing the fight is not over. His eyes widen in horror at a new shape forming in the distance. A being of pure green energy rises over the city, gathering an incredible amount of power into a single point. Within the storm, a new face appears, eyes closed in concentration. Then his glowing green eyes snap open with terrifying intent. This great obscenity's avatar floats serenely above the ruined city, her massive form questioning the distant, burning commander. Jiang answers by channeling his rage into his crackling fist, unleashing a torrent of crimson lightning into the sky. He declares this fight is for this broken world, a place where death has become an everyday reality, and with a roar he lunges, accepting life is no different. His blade of pure life force slams into the monster's chest, piercing her with an explosion of red energy, this blow seemingly running her straight through. On screens across the nation, the news declares a spectacular victory, inspiring citizens who celebrate their hero's triumph. But the monster's wound begins to twist and corrupt, as she calmly echoes his own words back at him, before massive green tendrils erupt and ensnare the commander completely. Commander Jiang is caught in the monster's massive grip, its immense pressure threatening to obliterate him, while the great obscenity's avatar tells him to go to hell. But he roars back, vowing to take the world with him, his resolve absolute, burning in his final moments. As his body dissolves into a shower of pink petals, a beautiful yet tragic end over the corrupted city. This monster dismisses his sacrifice as utterly futile, watching from the command center in stunned silence. An analyst confirms the worst: Jiang's energy signature is gone, and across the nation, civilians watch the heroes fall on public screens. A mother shields her child's eyes from the grim reality, while others desperately hope for another hero to appear, only to be reminded that their other champion mask has vanished, leaving the world to wonder what they are supposed to do now. On a train, a lone man faces a crowd of glowing-eyed infected, while a live broadcast shows the monster as citizens debate the slow response. Social media explodes with blame for driving away a hero named Mask. As a red alert blares through a secure facility, a disaster-level threat has appeared. One prisoner casually dismisses the warning as a mere exercise, but his glowing red eye hints at a hidden power. Elsewhere, an official slams his fist down, calling his colleagues trash, raging that they are too afraid to act while the city faces annihilation. "These men are cowards," he roars, "who have forgotten the glory of sacrifice," prompting another to regret how they treated the hero mask. This chairman's eyes widen at the sudden accusation, his anger boiling over as he slams the conference table. Just then, a smug advisor proposes an ultimate plan, using a small nuclear weapon to eliminate the monster. This shadowy council agrees, promising he will be hailed as a savior. A powerful chairman looks on with growing dread. His subordinate calls in a panic, reporting a change in Dah City. This chairman demands to know if their special forces have arrived. But the field agent reports a humanoid has appeared instead, a confirmation that sends his aide into a state of shock. Meanwhile, at a city defense prison, a massive hole is torn in the roof, a pulsating wound of dark, corrupting energy, spreading across the building like a grotesque scar. A guard on the ground stares up in absolute terror as a mysterious boot steps into the chaotic scene. Inside, guards find an empty cell and demand answers. Learning their most dangerous prisoner has somehow escaped. Back in the Vine-Choke City, the infected masses still roam, where a soldier realizes Commander Jang has vanished from the battlefield. Just as the monstrous plants begin to surge with new life, soldiers scatter in terror, one screaming he does not want to die. But their captain orders them to hold the line. There is no escape. One man charges forward, determined to fight the monstrous plants, only to be instantly ensnared by a swarm of thorny vines. His comrade watches in horror as the captain is consumed, vowing to join the fight and stand by his side, when a sudden volley of dark projectiles slices through the air, shredding the vines that held the captain captive. This freed soldier collapses to the ground, completely bewildered, as his teammate rushes to help him to his feet. Looking up, he realizes they have been unexpectedly saved. While the great obscenity's avatar floats calmly above her domain, elsewhere a news helicopter receives orders to retreat immediately, but the cameraman suddenly shouts for them to wait, a wild grin spreading as he announces support is coming. A colossal energy blade slices through the corrupted city. Onlookers believe Federation support has finally arrived, watching on screen as a new warrior tears through the vines. But this armored combatant is no ordinary hero. A system window reveals his mission: eliminate the reincarnated obscenity. He senses this new monster's aura is different, no longer symbolizing pure destruction and decay, but a twisted, all-consuming form of life. Its goal is to assimilate the world into a single, mindless forest. This obscenity's avatar appears, vowing to eliminate this new threat, offering him a place in her painless new world, a paradise free of suffering and injustice. She explains her consciousness is now merged with all the infected, their minds reduced to pure, simple joy, as the collective souls flare with green light. This great obscenity's avatar senses a disturbance. A large group has vanished, and she furiously demands to know who dares to interfere. A crimson monster appears, immediately shredded by her vines, but the creature recognizes her, shocked by her identity. Her tendrils lash out, tearing into the intruder's body, attempting to overwhelm him with sheer, crushing power. Yet she is stunned he is not being assimilated by her corruption. This red warrior blazes past her defenses in a flash, latching onto her massive form as she screams in rage, his grip unyielding, his purpose terrifyingly clear. She tries to crush the smaller being in her glowing hand, unleashing a devastating web of energy slashes. This crimson fighter endures the onslaught standing firm, then drives his own corrupted flesh deep into her arm, only for her monstrous roses to bloom from the new wound. This rose-headed abominations charge forward, their heads glowing with concentrated energy, unleashing a massive blast of green light, but an armored warrior slices right through it. This warrior's glowing red eyes fixed on the enemy, meeting another explosion head-on, weaving through a barrage of deadly attacks. A reporter is stunned by the warrior's impossible speed, while citizens watch the battle unfold on public screens. One observer questions if this is a monster or a human, noting the incredible skill needed to dodge the blasts. His analysis concludes its skill surpasses any professional, a realization that brings a terrifying new question, revealing the warrior is actually a woman, her monstrous form still ready for battle. Her corrupted energy erupts into a defensive shield, revealing a stunning new transformation. A warrior reborn with glowing, butterfly-like wings. This great obscenity's avatar watches in utter disbelief, while the public questions her risky ground-based dodges. But one analyst praises the brilliant deception, a feint to get close before striking from the air, unleashing a massive blade of dark energy, which tears directly through the monster's head. This cameraman shouts in triumph, the attack worked, as the army of rose-headed minions freezes in place, their glowing bodies suddenly going still. He wonders if this single warrior just won the war, but a single chilling voice asks a question, echoed by the entire hive mind in unison: who are you? This obscenity's avatar demands to know his identity, questioning the origin of his blade, Blood Raven, a query the armored warrior meets with stoic silence. Her eyes narrow, realizing he is a monster too, and she proposes they do not have to fight each other. Together, she claims they can change this rotten world, offering him the core of the great obscenity itself. A tempting prize he recognizes as his final mission reward, she invites him to join her cause to remake everything, painting a vision of a world reborn from nature, a paradise where all life flows together as one. But if darkness remains, she vows to destroy it all, taking the entire world down with the corruption. An observer clutches his chest, overwhelmed by her power. Realizing with dread that these two monsters know each other, this winged warrior confronts the colossal monster in silence. His purpose revealed to kill all monsters even by becoming one. This obscenity's avatar misreads his silence as a desire to save the world, challenging him to prove who will be the one to end the other, her or this dirty world she so despises. With that, her head erupts in a blast of green energy, but the Crimson Fighter dodges with impossible speed. She reforms her head into a whip of glowing tendrils, lashing out to ensnare her target completely, slamming him through the air with crushing force. As she screams in triumph, the vines tighten their grip, his wings sealed shut as he is completely immobilized. But he erupts from the trap, his wings shredding her vines apart, flying directly into her shocked, open mouth. This obscenity recoils, clutching her throat in agony. This obscenity's avatar widens her eyes in shock. As a crimson projectile streaks past her head, a familiar scout she's used to hunt this monster's core. She knows if the core is not in the body, it must be the brain, sending her creature to pinpoint the avatar's weak spot. With the target located, she prepares a devastating strike, her scout marking the vital point on the monster's back. This crimson mark burns deep into the obscenity's flesh, causing the corrupted vines to surge with defensive energy. A massive burst of green light erupting from the wound, but the warrior unleashes a furious barrage of slashes, driving her corrupted blade through the chaotic energy, tearing apart the avatar's defenses with brutal force. This world is consumed by a blinding green explosion, yet through the blast her determined eyes remain fixed on her foe. He carves through the storm of corrupted energy, his own body shredding apart under the strain, but his blade continues its relentless assault, slicing through the final layer of defenses, revealing the pulsating heart of the obscenity. Through his shattered mask, he confirms his target is here, raising his sword for the final decisive blow. Within the core, her true form materializes, a serene woman standing amidst the chaos. His blade finds its mark, piercing her heart. Her eyes widening in a moment of shock, she admits she did not expect him to succeed, while the warrior confesses his energy is spent. At that moment, her vines begin to stir, wrapping around his exhausted body to trap him. This obscenity's avatar calmly faces her opponent, leaving the warrior to question his next move. She tells him she sees the man beneath the mask, her words catching him completely off guard, revealing she is already dead, merely a final echo. Below, her giant form still looms over the city as the cameraman declares their world is doomed. A sudden sound, however, draws his attention upward, followed by a deep rumble across the cityscape. On the ground, survivors look to the sky in alarm, this very building seeming to tremble around them, and the clouds part to reveal a new threat. A streak of fire descends from above, hurtling toward the heart of the city. This reporter realizes with horror it is a nuclear bomb. A Federation official learns of a desperate plan, a nuclear strike. He is crushed by regret, questioning what he has done. This obscenity's avatar calls the Federation heartless for sacrificing the city, vowing that before her end she will make the world see the truth. Through his broken mask, the Crimson Warrior listens intently, as she demands to see the ones who bullied Mask. A vortex then opens on her back, revealing her true self inside, pulsing with a brilliant green energy. Her form merges into a colossal pillar of living vines, with countless rose-headed minions swarming its surface. It is a writhing mass of corrupted roses and tendrils, towering over the city as a monstrous tree reaching for the heavens, her hand transforming into gnarled wood and thorns, a limb of pure, corrupted nature, which itself grows into a colossal world tree. This warrior's blade unleashes a fiery arc, as onlookers watch it strike the massive tree, creating a blinding flash of golden light. From the light, strange humanoid figures begin to form, their bodies dissolving into the brilliant energy. Back on the street, the warrior is suddenly ambushed by sharp vines, his monstrous face revealing a flicker of surprise. A massive bud of vines begins to pulse with immense power, which then detonates in a city-shaking explosion. This shockwave rips through a nearby building, sending rubble and debris flying through the air. But a hexagonal shield materializes around the civilians, shielding a terrified couple from the blast's full force, leaving them unharmed amidst the utter destruction. This woman looks on in shock, wondering if it is finally over. This colossal world tree is consumed in a fiery explosion, its burning form crumbling away into ash and embers. At Federation headquarters, an officer reports the energy source has vanished, confirming the natural disaster has been successfully terminated. Commander Jang clenches his fist, declaring Da City secured. But on the ground, the Crimson Warrior stands alone amidst the ruins. His medal's a silent testament to the battle's cost. Officials question if the obscenity met the nuke on purpose, when a sudden shout directs their gaze to the monitor. On screen, the tree's remnants begin to split open, shattering into a storm of green shards and pink petals. These glowing petals drift down gently across the skyline, blanketing the entire city in a sea of new life. As survivors emerge into a world reclaimed by nature, a young woman reaches out, captivated by the beautiful sight. A man warns a woman not to touch the strange petals, but she ignores him, letting them fall into her hands, leaving the man stunned when she remains completely unharmed. In a memory, the obscenity's avatar rests against the warrior, finding a rare moment of peace in the overgrown city. She opens her eyes with a gentle smile, reaching for the beautiful, petal-filled sky above, a simple gesture of wonder and appreciation, as her hand gently catches a single falling petal. This memory fades, leaving the warrior all alone, and a system notification confirms his main task is complete. In his hand, the mission reward finally materializes. This pulsating green core of the great obscenity. He recognizes it not just as the monster's heart, but as the heart of Yan Qianliu as a prompt tells him to equip it. Amidst the ruins, the warrior clutches the green core, sending its power to an unknown destination. As the city's overgrowth recedes, a strange energy remains. Onlookers worldwide celebrate the calamity's supposed defeat, but just as they cheer for humankind, a new horror emerges, for something truly bizarre is now taking place. This humanoid flowers revert back into living people, leaving the livestream audience completely stunned into silence. A few realize the horrifying truth: the bomb killed innocent humans, sparking a fierce online debate over the Federation's actions, with many now questioning why they did not trust Mask from the start. Believing he could have saved everyone without a single casualty. Suddenly, all broadcasts are cut and discussions scrubbed from the internet. Inside Federation headquarters, the leaders convene an emergency meeting, where one official admits they are in trouble as the public now knows the truth. Back at Federation headquarters, the president is crushed by the weight of his decision, while a rival official sees the tragedy as a political opportunity. Another member stands offering a simple solution that involves Mask, questioning how Mask can have no responsibility for this disaster. This rival objects pointing out that Mask is not even on the scene, but the man argues Mask's absence is precisely why he is to blame. He claims the Federation gave Mask everything, framing his disappearance as a betrayal, tying the entire catastrophe in Da City directly to him. This rest of the council sits in stunned silence, processing the accusation. In the cold, imposing meeting room, the political trap has been set, and the schemer assures the president he will handle all the details. This president's resolve hardens, realizing they just need a pawn as powerful as Mask, a weapon to solve all their problems, and he asks about the Morning Sun plan. His subordinate reports that Experiment 268 succeeded, creating stable new human bodies, confirming his theory that the fusion of monsters and mankind is achievable. This schemer argues that they will surpass Mask's legacy, his plan being to grant all of humanity the power of monsters, turning every last person into a god. A history lesson reveals the world's geography was violently reshaped, a time before Mask when monsters ran rampant through the cities, originating from a land known as the birthplace of calamity. It was Mask who single-handedly forged a frontline against them, transforming the blighted land into a new frontier. In the present, a squad of soldiers approaches a strange portal, wondering who will have to report their findings to Captain Jang. This men pass the buck, none wanting the responsibility, as the portal in front of them pulses with energy. Suddenly, they all look up as someone begins to emerge. A single boot steps through the shimmering gateway, revealing the legendary Captain Jiang Ling herself. A new warrior emerges, hailed as a genius, her gaze sharp and unwavering. She confronts Captain Jiang, sensing his team's unease, as his subordinate reports a disaster in Da City. This monster was resolved, her team confirms, but with a cost, revealing her father, Commander Jiang, sacrificed himself in the battle. Unmoved, she orders them to the next secret realm, leaving the men stunned by her cold reaction. This team follows their leader through the dense forest, questioning her lack of emotion, calling her unmovable ice. But she overhears, threatening them into silence. They arrive at another secret realm, a swirling blue vortex, and a subordinate questions if the whole team is needed, worried they will just become useless cheerleaders. Her gaze turns back, a silent challenge in her eyes. A new captain questions her subordinate's faith, and the terrified soldier quickly denies any disrespect. She then turns toward a shimmering blue portal, stepping through it without a moment's hesitation. Her squad breathes a sigh of relief, commenting on her monstrous aura. One even calls her an emotionless monster who knows no pain. While inside the portal, a dark cavern awaits. This captain walks alone along the desolate shore, her spear beginning to crackle with purple energy as she prepares for whatever lies ahead. Suddenly, her eyes widen in surprise, for she has found the remains of a recent battle. This cavern's silence is heavy with unseen threats. She notices all the creatures were killed by the same weapon, wondering if a single person entered this realm alone just like her. A masked woman with silver hair enters the fray, leaving a trail of slain monsters in her wake, her glowing spear held at the ready. Her gaze is sharp, scanning for the next threat, which appears in the form of a hulking shark man. Nearby, a lone swordsman fends off 3 of them, and the masked woman notes his impressive combat skills. Realizing he is fighting despite serious injuries, a testament to his sheer will to survive, deciding to intervene, she grips her spear tightly, unleashing a torrent of purple energy. This blast streaks across the cavern floor as she leaps into the battle herself. Her strike is swift and absolutely lethal, cutting down the monsters with blinding speed. Her spear slices through the monster's back, finishing the beast with a single, brutal strike. With the threat eliminated, she turns to the lone swordsman, demanding to know who he is and why he is here alone. Her intense gaze studies the injured warrior, who struggles to remain standing, exhausted from the fight. His body finally gives out, stumbling forward, and he collapses onto the cavern floor. She scoffs, disappointed that he is just another burden. But a new sound draws her attention to the water. A fresh wave of sharkmen emerges from the depths. And she sighs, annoyed by the endless trouble. Taking her stance, she prepares for another battle, her purple energy flaring as she faces the new horde. Elsewhere, a high-ranking official watches from afar. Her eyes burn with an unholy fury. Unleashing her rage, she screams for vengeance. As purple lightning tears the entire cavern apart, Outside the secret realm, her squad waits anxiously, wondering what is taking her so long in such an easy zone. They speculate she is venting her grief over her father's death, but their conversation is cut short as the portal flares to life. She emerges carrying an unconscious man over her shoulder. This team is stunned, questioning the stranger's identity, shifting scenes to a frontline military camp, a hub for warriors, where even with enhanced individuals, traditional doctors are vital. In the infirmary, the rescued swordsman lies in a bed, stable for now. A doctor reports his injuries were fatal, yet his healing is unprecedented. This captain listens, recognizing his terrifyingly potent abilities. While the doctor notes his body shows signs of radiation exposure, a doctor suggests keeping the swordsman for specialized treatment, but the captain coldly refuses, ordering him brought back immediately. Just then, an imposing commander arrives, Liang Zhangai. She greets him as a teacher, revealing their deep connection. Inside the sprawling army camp command post, later, a news report spins the Da City disaster, paying tribute to the soldiers who supposedly sacrificed themselves, among them the face of her own father, Commander Jiang. Commander Liang confirms he died an honorable death, and her only response is a quiet, stoic acknowledgement. He speaks of a warrior's death as a noble homecoming, assuring her that her father made the only choice he could. Her blame, he explains, was simply a fight with herself. With his words of comfort delivered, he begins to leave, telling her to question the swordsman for information once he awakens. An official finds the sword's wielder very interesting, while the swordsman himself lies unconscious in a hospital bed, and the silver-haired captain questions her teacher about his identity. A sudden cough from the room interrupts their conversation, drawing her attention to the patient inside. She decides she can only wait for him to wake up, but his eyes suddenly snap open in alarm, a look of pure shock on his face. He glares up from the bed, instantly alert, catching the captain completely off guard. Her hand instinctively tightens around her spear as she prepares for a sudden confrontation. For the first time, she admits to feeling truly threatened, facing the swordsman's intense, unwavering gaze, a silent challenge passing between them in the quiet room. This swordsman awakens, his Roman 4 already deemed unnecessary, and immediately questions the captain about his location, Army Camp N3. Confirming she rescued him, she introduces herself as Jiang Ling and he gives his name, Xiao Q. A tense silence hangs in the air between the two warriors. On a nearby screen, a news report condemns a hero named Mask for his disappearance, accusing him of betraying the Federation and its people. Jiang Ling smirks, commenting that the Federation is clearly getting anxious, and that Mask has become a convenient scapegoat for all their troubles. Turning to Xiao Q, she offers him freedom once he is healed with a warning, a threat to break his bones one by one if he steps out of line. Xiao Q calmly refutes her threat, saying she would not be able to. He states with absolute confidence that she simply cannot defeat him. His bold declaration clearly strikes a nerve. But a dangerous smile crosses her face as she accepts his challenge for the future. With the challenge set, she turns to leave, another secret realm awaiting her. Her squad questions why the commander is so interested in the swordsman, speculating on his identity as they walk down the hall. This name she gives them, Xiao Q, rings a faint bell for one of the men. Meanwhile, her subordinates sense their captain's barely contained fury, just as Xiao Q himself emerges from the infirmary. A soldier quickly approaches, asking where he thinks he is going, and is stunned to hear he is heading back to the secret realm. Xiao Q clutches his chest, explaining his new heart thirst for life, revealing he can heal by absorbing energy from slain monsters. This soldier reminds him that entering a realm requires a team, but the captain's voice orders them to let him pass. Suddenly, Commander Liang appears, blocking Xiao Q's path. His expression is calm, yet holds absolute authority. When a soldier protests it is against the rules, the commander dismisses the concern, declaring that his command is the only rule that matters here. This soldiers snap to attention, voicing their complete agreement, leaving the swordsman standing awkwardly in the hallway. Just then, Commander Liang makes his grand entrance, splitting the squad to accompany both the captain and the swordsman. Far from the command post, Captain Jiang Ling waits alone, her powerful spear resting by her side. Two of her subordinates finally arrive, out of breath. Explaining the swordsman took the rest of their team on a mission, they gossip about his reckless arrogance, calling it a suicide run, but their captain's expression remains unreadable. She speculates he might have his own hidden intentions. Her men are skeptical, questioning if he is truly that powerful, instead recalling their captain's own prodigious history and power, while the swordsman's new escort questions his special treatment. He simply denies any connection, his answer short and final. A soldier questions the swordsman's ignorance about their commander, explaining that Supreme Commander Liang Zhangai is a living legend, a hero who established the very first human-monster frontlines. He recounts how the commander fought with the original repelling monsters army, and the swordsman quietly asks how long ago that was. A flashback shows the commander leading 3,000 soldiers into a desolate land, facing an endless swarm of monsters from every direction. Their numbers were cut down, but they held their ground, and from those survivors, the current frontlines were born. Back in the present, they arrive at a massive blue portal. His soldiers offer to follow him inside, eager for a fight, but the swordsman just smirks at their offer to help. He dismisses them coldly, insisting he will be fine on his own. Without another word, he steps through the portal alone, preferring the reek of monsters to the company of men. Inside the realm, Xiao Q embraces the darkness, unleashing his monstrous form to finally cut loose. Just as a new predator reveals its vicious fangs, a pack of demonic wolves emerges from the shadows. They find Xiao waiting, a monster facing monsters. He knows his time is limited to only 3 minutes, as his body still suffers from the nuclear blast aftereffects, but with a glare he decides 3 minutes is all he needs. In a flash of shadow, he disappears from sight, and the wolf pack lunges forward to attack, only to be torn apart in a single, brutal instant. This entire pack falls, utterly defeated in seconds, their life force beginning to rise from their bodies, a swirling green energy he desperately needs to absorb, and the creatures dissolve as he takes their power for his own. Inside the realm, Xiao stands transformed amidst glowing spores, his new heart absorbing the life force of every monster he slays. This energy not only heals him but extends his time in this powerful form. Outside, the soldiers mockingly wonder if he is already dead, joking that he is probably just hiding near the entrance to run out the clock. Their laughter dies as Xiao calmly steps back through the portal, leaving them stunned by his impossibly quick return. They ask if he defeated the boss, and he simply confirms he did, adding that every monster inside was too weak to even feel like a boss. As proof, he offers them the boss drops, a pair of razor-sharp claws, and the soldiers realize he cleared a 5th-rank realm in just 17 minutes. This feat shatters Captain Jang's record, making him twice as fast, leading them to a shocking conclusion: his power is double their captain's. Unimpressed by their awe, Xiao orders them to the next realm, arriving at another portal ready for the next challenge. Zhang Ling's team moves on to the next secret realm, only to find fresh footprints already on the path, confirming the entire area has been completely cleared out. Her men realize this is the 5th plundered realm they have found today, wondering if it is Xiao, though she doubts he is that powerful. A subordinate suspects a rival team is poaching their resources, but Zhang Ling feigns indifference, ordering them to return to camp. In truth, she is furious, determined to unmask her challenger. Back at Army Camp in 3, all teams must report their spoils for rewards, and as her squad enters the management office, they spot another team ahead. She overhears a shocking report: 17 realms cleared in one day. As a soldier at the counter presents a list to a stunned official, this official struggles to believe they could accomplish such a feat alone, so the soldier dumps a massive bag of monster cores and materials, telling the man to verify the boss drops and energy signatures himself. An official stammers, saying not even Jiang Ling could clear so many realms, while a soldier boasts that Xiao was appointed by the commander himself. This official then offers a new mission, a deadly 6th-rank realm that has already claimed 2 teams. Xiao accepts the dangerous request without a second thought, and his new ally claims his power surpasses even Captain Jiang's. This official nervously tries to silence him, pointing behind them. He turns to find Captain Jiang Ling standing right there, unimpressed. This soldier immediately backpedals, trying to smooth things over. As her squadmate realizes the list contains the very realms they just visited, she asks if he did it all alone, and he simply confirms it. Jiang Ling smirks, understanding the source of his earlier confidence, while Xiao wonders why she holds such a long-standing grudge. He then accepts the difficult 6th-rank mission on the spot, turning to the captain with a challenge to see who kills the boss first. With their rivalry ignited, the two prepare to enter the new realm. A soldier notes he has successfully provoked Captain Jiang's competitive spirit, but Xiao is lost in thought, finally understanding his purpose here. He recalls a pivotal event from his past life tied to these front lines. Just then, a blonde soldier stares at him with dawning recognition, connecting his face and his distinctive blade to a memory. And the man gasps, finally realizing where he has seen him before. Back at the Army City Command Center, that same soldier reports a shocking connection to Commander Liang, confirming Xiao is the same man who slaughtered a company in Da City. This commander finds it unlikely, but the soldier insists the evidence is undeniable, pointing out his features, body, and unique sword are a perfect match. Despite the impossible circumstances, he is certain it must be the truth. Commander Liang agrees, ordering a full investigation before visiting the realm himself. This soldier smirks, seeing a chance for a major achievement if Xiao is a criminal. While at the portal, the 2 rival teams prepare for their contest. Her squad insists on joining the dangerous mission, but she knows they are just worried about her going alone. Still, she relents and leads them toward the portal, ordering her men to simply keep up. Turning to Xiao, she warns him this is a duel between them, and he silently accepts the terms. Moments later, they arrive at the 6th-rank realm, a swirling vortex of dangerous energy. One of the soldiers wonders why the commander has not arrived, so Xiao decides to just head in first. He steps through the gate, which vanishes behind him, leaving Jiang Ling's team to enter a dark, enclosed space. A subordinate uses his skill to scan their surroundings, confirming the atmosphere is stable and non-toxic, but the others worry about the tight quarters, a death trap if they are swarmed. Inside the 6th-rank realm, a dark tunnel awaits them, where both teams advance into the oppressive darkness. Their faces are grim, ready for the unknown, when countless glowing red eyes emerge from the shadows. Xiao realizes the true difficulty of this new challenge, as a massive horde of crocodile-like monsters is revealed. Without hesitation, Captain Jiang Ling steps forward, her spear crackling with purple energy as she faces the swarm. This creature's roar charging to overwhelm her position, but she grips her weapon, gathering immense power, vowing to carve a path straight through them, and leaps into the air, unleashing a torrent of lightning. A massive pillar of purple energy slams into the ground, this blast consuming everything in its path, leaving only a cloud of smoke and crackling energy in its wake. Captain Zhang Ling unleashes a devastating spear attack, her purple energy tearing through the entire monster horde. Xiao Qiu's men watch in awe as the creatures are wiped out instantly, but she dismisses it, claiming the narrow path made it easy. A soldier warns Xiao Qiu that the captain is going all out, yet our boy finds their petty competition utterly meaningless. They press deeper into the now silent, ominous tunnel, walking for 10 minutes without seeing a single remaining monster. Suddenly, the entire group comes to a dead stop. Something feels wrong in the eerie silence. Zhang Ling notes the strangeness of finding no trace of the two lost teams, while her men assume her attack simply vaporized everything. She then asks if anyone else heard a strange sound, putting her confused subordinates on high alert. With weapons drawn, both teams prepare for an unseen threat. Suddenly, a deep rumbling shakes the tunnel walls, as dust and debris rain down from the ceiling. A colossal beast bursts from the darkness, its enormous scaly body blocking the entire path forward. Xiao Qiu's men panic, certain they are doomed against such a monster, but Captain Zhang Ling seems completely unfazed by their terror, her eyes narrow, calmly assessing the new threat. Realizing the creature projects a paralyzing aura of fear, she scoffs at its cheap tricks, her own power flaring to life, declaring such mental attacks are useless against her. Meanwhile, Xiao Qiu stands apart, silently observing the scene, his hand moving to the hilt of his own massive blade. He then slams the sword point first into the ground, just as Jiang Ling launches her spear into the beast's open maw, a direct hit that erupts with crackling purple energy. Jiang Ling's eyes narrow, focused on the threat ahead, but down the tunnel, Xiao Qiu's team is already engaged, when he suddenly plunges his blade into the earth, driving it deep into the solid rock below. A second hidden monster erupts from beneath them, its glowing eye fading as it dies instantly. This colossal beast collapses, slain in a single strike, and Xiao Qiu laments the wasted energy, wishing he could have absorbed it. His men are stunned, realizing the first horde was just a feint. As one soldier admits they'd all be dead without his quick thinking, Zhang Ling approaches, demanding to know how he detected the ambush, confessing her own focus was too narrow to notice the danger. Xiao Qiu simply explains he felt the tremors from its approach, but her subordinate finds this impossible, unable to hear a thing himself, leaving our boy to offer no further explanation. Xiao Qiu senses a powerful vibration. Her men praise their one-hit kills on two monsters, but Jiang Ling reveals they were not the real bosses, pointing out no treasure chest has appeared and the exit portal remains sealed. These soldiers grow anxious, wondering what the true boss is. A question that fills the cavern with dread. Jiang Ling orders her squad to stay close and they apologize for being a burden. She dismisses their apology, reminding them they are a team, a sentiment that lifts their spirits. They soon reach a massive sealed door. Behind it, she suspects the boss lies in wait, ordering her men to wait outside for their safety. As the two rivals advance, the squad wishes them a safe return. At the end of the tunnel, they find a massive sealed door, which they struggle to crank open together. With a final heave, the heavy stone gate begins to move, releasing a thick cloud of pressurized gas. These two rivals stand ready as the dust billows out, momentarily obscuring everything from view. When it clears, a new path forward is revealed. Xiao Qiu and Jiang Ling step into the next chamber, but a heavy footstep echoes from the darkness ahead. Jiang Ling notes the sound is too light for a large monster. As a bipedal, crocodile-like creature emerges from the shadows, she realizes its humanoid form makes it far more dangerous, and the beast stands alone at the end of a long hall watching them. It lets out a roar, its body crackling with raw power, prompting the captain to order everyone into combat formation. Jiang Ling launches her spear with blinding speed, declaring they have underestimated her power, a bolt of pure destruction hurtling toward its target. Xiao Qiu notes her spear has broken the sound barrier, but the beast catches the weapon in its bare hand. A move that catches Jiang Ling completely off guard, it effortlessly stops her attack, looking down on her. Yet her resolve does not waver for an instant. Instead, she draws a secondary energy weapon, flipping into the air to aim it at point-blank range. A blinding flash erupts from the barrel, engulfing the creature's head in raw power. This beam tears straight through the boss, leaving a smoldering hole in its skull, and with that final shot, the beast is slain. Xiao Qiu questions her risky fighting style, but she is surprised when he simply agrees with her logic. Her gaze then falls upon the defeated monster, revealing a human face inside its grotesque form. She recognizes the man as a soldier named Christian, a high-level professional who vanished in this very realm. This horrifying discovery raises terrifying questions about this place. Just as another horde of monsters emerges from the darkness, without a word, the two rivals agree to split the enemy forces. A two-headed beast leading the ferocious charge, they both rush forward to meet the oncoming swarm, Jiang Ling leaping into the air, her spear crackling with power, unleashing a devastating blast of purple lightning. This energy beam tearing through the monstrous ranks, leaving a trail of dismembered creatures in her wake. Jiang Ling braces as the humanoid monster attacks, its claws scraping uselessly against her weapon, so she unleashes her own power, dark tendrils erupting around her, and a storm of lightning engulfs the beast completely. This creature is torn in two, collapsing to the floor, and she notes its impressive strength and speed but dismisses it as just another mindless beast. Suddenly, her attention snaps to the side, where Xiao Qiu is already dispatching another monster with ease, calmly meeting the next charging foe. With a single clean strike, he cuts it down, his eyes cold and calculating. A flurry of slashes reduces another to pieces, leaving a trail of carnage in his wake. He then reveals a horrifying truth: these were the lost teams. Jiang Ling admits there is something she does not understand, a comment that immediately puts Xiao Q on alert. Ahead, two bipedal crocodile monsters stand guard, their muscular forms blocking the path forward. These creatures bare their teeth, ready for a fight. But instead kneel in worship before a strange pillar. She realizes it is an altar, part of a summoning ritual, just as the pillar begins to glow with sinister energy. Without a second thought, she hurls her spear to stop it, only to be met with a shocking wave of power. This altar's gaze makes it hard for her to even breathe, forcing her to act before a true horror is unleashed. Her spear, crackling with lightning, strikes the two beasts, felling the monstrous worshippers in a single blow. But the altar's glowing red eyes only grow brighter. Its malevolent gaze pierces through the darkness. But a silent command forces the eyes shut, and the sinister summoning energy dissipates completely. Jiang Ling wonders what they were trying to summon, feeling its stare. But Xiao Q reveals it was a demon god looking only at him. He calls the entity an old acquaintance, a chilling confession. With the threat neutralized, two portals open in a peaceful field, allowing the entire squad to safely exit the secret realm. Her men praise their speed, curious about the powerful boss they faced. Yet Jiang Ling cuts them off, needing to report this urgently to the commander. The soldiers are left speechless by her serious tone when a new voice announces his arrival right behind them. Everyone turns in shock at the sudden appearance. Recognizing the man as the Supreme Commander himself, he approaches with his personal guard, a powerful force in tow. A soldier nervously questions the Supreme Commander's arrival, who dismisses his concern entirely, revealing this business is directly related to Xiao Q. This commander then accuses him of being the Da City massacre culprit, leaving the entire squad staring at him in shock. His men cannot believe it, recalling the name from the news, but another soldier insists there is no mistake, having watched him closely. Jiang Ling watches the accusation unfold, her gaze intense. With a cracked smile, Xiao Q admits the truth, openly confirming his identity to them all. This accuser celebrates, his suspicions finally validated. As Xiao Q calmly asks if they will arrest him now, this commander explains that fugitives must be captured for the atonement camp, but a sinister smile crosses his face, hinting that official law has nothing to do with his plans. A high-ranking official arrives with his tactical squad, placing one of the soldiers in cuffs. He approaches Xiao Q, admitting he understands his actions, and even confesses he might have acted more ruthlessly in his place. This praise for his decisiveness seems to catch our boy off guard. This official then orders everyone to forget what happened today, threatening expulsion for anyone who dares to speak of it. With the matter settled, the two groups stand apart in the field. Jiang Ling approaches the man, addressing him as her teacher. While her men wonder what could have happened in the realm, one soldier admits he is too intimidated to even approach Xiao Q. Jiang Ling recounts their discovery of the altar and the worshipping beasts, prompting her teacher to reveal a dark truth: a monster god. She is stunned by the revelation that monsters could have their own deity. As the man explains why humanity has never truly advanced in the war, attributing their stalemate to something called the source. A commander explains they are only fighting symptoms, not the source, and his subordinate asks why they have not destroyed this source, which he reveals is a powerful monster god, a being so immense its mere aura creates the secret realms. She is stunned by this revelation, questioning humanity's struggle, but the commander reveals there is one person who can kill them, and she utters a single name: Mask. He warns that the altar signals a god is waking from its slumber. A coming flood of monsters that would overwhelm the front lines. Now that Mask is gone, she fears for their future, so he orders her to stop clearing realms and deliver warnings instead, advising her to relax and not live like a machine. This soldier begins to protest his order, but he interrupts, telling her to bring Xiao Q's team along. Since Xiao Q is now recognized, he must cover his face to move freely. To hide his identity, the commander orders a mask for him. Sometime later, their journey begins across a vast desert. An armored vehicle thunders across the barren land, revealing itself as a heavily fortified train. Inside, Jiang Ling sits in quiet contemplation, while Xiao Q, now masked, joins her team. One of the soldiers asks how he likes the frontline's special transport, boasting that these machines can forge their own paths. His comrades tease him for repeating the same old stories. As another soldier questions why they are delivering a message in person, he wonders if monsters can somehow intercept radio waves, when a sudden noise from above puts them all on edge. Looking up, they see a boot descending from the hatch. A lookout then spots a vehicle kicking up dust in the distance, prompting another soldier to man the train's heavy machine gun. Xiao Q criticizes a nearby army camp for their slow progress, recalling the history of how uncleared realms once destroyed the world. Suddenly, a jeep races through the desert, kicking up sand, its archer taking aim at an unseen threat. His arrow finds its mark in a charging, multi-headed beast, but the rest of the pack keeps coming, relentless and fierce. This soldier curses the High Command's ignorance of the true danger. Just as he realizes his quiver is completely empty, panic sets in as he stands defenseless. A massive wolf-like creature lunging straight for him. In that instant, a streak of golden light cuts through the air, impacting the monster in a fiery explosion. He stares in disbelief, realizing help has arrived. Identifying the source as a massive armored train, its main cannon unleashes another powerful blast. A military jeep speeds across the desert under fire, when a sudden impact sends it flying through the air. A soldier inside cries out in confusion and terror. As a monstrous beak snaps at them from above, a massive winged beast descends from the sky, its landing flipping their vehicle with ease, but just as it attacks, a projectile strikes its neck, sending the creature plummeting to the ground. The soldiers crawl from the wreckage, dazed and wounded. Realizing with shock that someone has saved them, an armored transport vehicle thunders onto the scene, its ramp slamming down into the sand. From inside, Zio Q's team charges out towards the danger, prompting the rescued soldier to yell a desperate warning, but his words are met with a silent, determined advance. This wolf pack is utterly decimated by her lightning, a display of overwhelming power from the entire squad. Jiang Ling stands amidst a storm of her own making, while Zio Q's blade carves a path of destruction. A nearby soldier realizes the leaders are on another level, her lightning tearing through the last of the beasts. With the fight over, she orders her team to secure the area, leaving the ground littered with fallen monsters. Grateful, the rescued soldiers approach her. One of them surprised she knew their affiliation. He explains her reputation precedes her, the mask, the lightning, but he has never heard of someone as strong as Zio Q. Another soldier begins to introduce the newcomer, revealing he is the new recruit Zio Q. These men predict he will soon be just as famous as their captain. Jiang Ling questions the rescued soldier about the ambush, who blames poor surveillance for the broken realm seals. Zio Q learns the rate of realm formation is accelerating, which makes Jiang Ling fear this is the coming monster tide. With new urgency, she orders them to reach Army Camp M2. Their destination is a fortified base in the desert, where 2 lookouts stand watch on the outer wall. One guard notes that many teams have left but few return, while his partner hopes they are just delayed by heavy workloads. Suddenly, the lookout spots something on the horizon. It is an armored train from another camp approaching them. A flag bearer signals for the train to slow for inspection, but in that moment the unthinkable happens. A massive dark structure plummets from the sky, crashing down with devastating force just outside the walls. A massive structure crashes from the sky, kicking up dust. Soldiers on the ground investigate the sudden impact. When a hatch on the wreckage creaks open, something dark is ejected from within, landing hard in front of the stunned squad. They realize it is a professional killer, dagger still in hand, but another figure emerges from the smoke, revealing itself as a massive insectoid monster. Nearby, a massive gate begins to rumble ominously, as countless dark shapes stir in the shadows beyond. Suddenly, a swarm of giant insects pours into the city, catching the local soldiers completely unarmed and unprepared. One man desperately opens fire into the horde, his bullets finding a target but doing little to stop the tide, and the entire city erupts in chaos as the monsters attack. A city burns under a swarm of insectoid monsters, their leader watching the devastation from above, its alien features cold and unfeeling. A faint chirp echoes from the memory. Back on the train, the journey continues across the desert. When a soldier asks if the army camp is under siege, Jiang Ling dismisses the idea, trusting their commander's strength, but her eyes betray a deep-seated worry. She knows even a high ranker can fall to a sea of monsters. Suddenly, a realization strikes her with dread. Through the window, she spots smoke on the horizon. One of the men identifies the burning location as Army Camp M2, just as a frantic distress call comes over the radio, a desperate plea for immediate assistance. This transmission cuts out with a final report: the camp has fallen. In the distance, a military camp erupts in flames. This explosion's growing more violent with each passing moment. Inside the train, a soldier confirms the worst: Army Camp M2 has fallen. Jiang Ling shudders, picturing a sea of monsters overwhelming the base, but she steels herself, ordering the team to press on toward the camp. Her subordinate questions the order, so she clarifies their new mission is rescue and intel. A soldier slams his fist against the wall in frustration, cursing the leadership and recalling the peace when Mask was active. His comrade agrees, suspecting the monsters know their greatest threat is gone. A heavy silence falls over the entire squad, until one soldier tries to lighten the mood by pointing something out, noting how Zio Q's Mask and build are just like the legendary heroes. They joke that maybe Mask went undercover after retiring. As the soldier playfully asks Zio Q if he thinks he is the real deal, with a confident smirk, our boy confirms their suspicions: I am Mask. His teammates are left completely speechless by the claim, but one soldier laughs it off, asking for an autograph for his brothers. Jiang Ling challenges him to live up to the legend's name, her attention then shifting back to the window, revealing the burning camp is swarming with monsters. A closer look reveals a horde of giant flying insects. She questions if this colony is what caused the camp to fall. A desperate cry for help echoes from the desert, where a small group of survivors flees the overwhelming horde. This insectoid swarm descends upon them without mercy. Leaping into action, Zio Q opens fire on the incoming swarm, his energy blast tearing through the monstrous bugs. He then summons a spear crackling with purple energy, planting his foot firmly on the ground, and launches himself into the air for a devastating strike. A single blast of purple energy rips through the monster, carving a path of destruction through the insect swarm before erupting in a massive, crackling explosion. This blast leaves behind only charred husks, which rain down from the sky onto the desolate landscape. With the immediate threat neutralized, the remaining swarm retreats. Jiang Ling's team approaches a small group of survivors, who thank them profusely before she asks about Camp M2. This lead soldier confirms the camp is completely lost, recalling how a humanoid pest killed their commander instantly. He desperately warns her not to go, calling it suicide, but Jiang Ling remains perfectly still, her face hidden. In a flash, her spear is at the soldier's throat, leaving everyone, including her own men, in shock. She then reveals their true identities as escaped convicts. This entire squad freezes, sensing a new threat approaching. As a group of armed men blocks their path, denying any affiliation. But Jiang Ling's eyes narrow, realizing they murdered civilian escorts, and she calls out their sloppy grip on stolen weapons, noting that every single one is held by an amateur, their inexperience betraying their lies. Then she points out a bullet wound on their leader's ear, proof that their victims fought back before dying. Enraged at being exposed, two of the men charge forward. But Jiang Ling moves in a flash of purple light, her spear slicing through them in a single, clean strike. Their leader watches in horror as his men fall, desperately turning to take the civilians hostage, only to find them already lying dead on the ground. In his moment of shock, a spear flies through the air, ending him. A fallen soldier lies on the ground, his weapon shattered. Jiang Ling notes the rescued soldiers are not standard army personnel, prompting her to cancel the mission to the fallen Camp M2. Their plans are interrupted by a new crisis. The train's boiler is broken. From the group of survivors, a young woman offers her help. With a sudden roar, the train's engine comes back to life, leaving the soldiers stunned by her incredible mechanical skill. Impressed, Jiang Ling turns to the young mechanic, asking her name, and she proudly introduces herself as Evelyn Clark. Thanks to Evelyn's expertise, the train continues its journey through the night. With Camp M2 lost, the team gathers to chart a new course, weighing a risky shortcut against a much safer, longer route. Zio Q pushes for the closer camp, a choice Evelyn confirms is necessary. With only 2 days of fuel, they have no option but the dangerous path. This decision leaves Zio Q to quietly contemplate the risks ahead. Jiang Ling questions Zio Q's insistence on Camp L4. Noting he could not have known about their low fuel, he recalls a memory of this area falling in his past life. Explaining his knowledge comes from the hero mask, she asks about the man who reportedly arrested her, and Zio Q simply calls him a righteous person. Jiang Ling scoffs at the word righteous, her skepticism clear in her sharp gaze. Her thoughts drift to the rumors about the hero, flashing back to the monstrous insects at the camp. She remembers the brutal fate of the soldiers there, a tide of monsters that overwhelmed everything. But then a blade cuts through the chaos, revealing a humanoid insect leader standing over the dead, who now calmly reads a report amidst the destruction. An insectoid being recalls the sun and the moon. Amidst the ruins, the insectoid leader stands tall, its compound eyes reflecting the desolate world, speaking the word humanity with utter contempt. Its wings suddenly ignite with a powerful, glowing aura, unleashing a devastating beam of energy from the sky. As a swarm of lesser insects darkens the horizon, back on the train, a group of survivors huddles in fear, while a soldier tries to reassure them of their safety. Zio Q, however, watches the distant cloud with suspicion, his words doing little to calm the terrified civilians. Then one of the men realizes it is not smoke at all. This sky is a living, breathing swarm of monsters. Led by the same insectoid commander from the fallen camp, a soldier alerts his captain, but Jiang Ling has already seen it. Jiang Ling fears facing the monster that destroyed Camp M2, its winged form appearing in a sudden vision. Her face is reflected countless times in its compound eye, as the creature's sole purpose is to exterminate humanity. A giant locust lands among the swarm below, only to be crushed by the humanoid leader's hand. A clear display of its absolute power over the lesser bugs. With its target acquired, it prepares to strike the train, launching itself toward them with blinding speed. This impact rocks the entire train car, sending the massive vehicle skidding through the sand. Inside, the survivors are thrown into chaos, and Evelyn is thrown from the train's open door, plummeting helplessly into the darkness below. But at the last second, a soldier catches her arm. This team ventures into the desolate wasteland at night, with Evelyn looking to Zio Q for reassurance, only to find their train completely buried by a massive landslide. Without hesitation, Zio Q and Jiang Ling prepare to move it by force. Jiang Ling grits her teeth, focusing all her strength, while Zio Q matches her effort, his eyes burning with resolve, their power cracking the very ground beneath their feet. Incredibly, the 10,000-ton train begins to shift, leaving Evelyn speechless at their impossible feat of strength. Inside, the other survivors can only watch in utter amazement, as Jiang Ling rallies her soldiers to defend their position, ordering Evelyn to immediately begin repairs for their escape. She knows the train is more important than any civilian life, for above them a new threat darkens the entire sky, and Zio Q's spear crackles to life, ready for battle. Zio Q's spear unleashes a torrent of purple lightning, erupting in a massive blast that tears through the swarm. He carves a path through the horde with blinding speed, each blinding strike clearing more of the monsters. Jiang Ling's men can only stare, questioning his power level, noting that even their high-ranking commander lacked this much raw strength. Their squad leader snaps them back to reality, ordering them to hunt the stragglers. But the explosions draw the attention of the insectoid commander. A survivor on the train recognizes the creature, pointing in sheer terror, identifying it as the monster that tore their old leader apart. Now Jiang Ling and Zio Q stand ready to face the true threat, this ground cracking under an immense pressure. Jiangling launches herself into the air spear first, but the insectoid leader simply crosses its arms unimpressed. Her lightning-fast strike stops dead in its tracks, unable to reach him. Jiangling realizes she is only looking at an afterimage. This creature's foot already slamming into the ground. Its blinding velocity leaves her completely stunned. This monster then launches itself high into the air, crashing down with enough force to shatter the earth. Jiangling is sent flying into a massive crater, her men screaming her name in absolute terror. But the insectoid leader dives in for another attack, its arm glowing as it morphs into a deadly blade, a massive scythe of pure energy aimed right for her. This creature swings its weapon down with lethal intent, leaving Jiangling to brace for the final blow. When a familiar spear shaft is thrust into its path, Xiaoqiu appears, blocking the attack just in time, this impact sending sparks flying as the two weapons clash. Jiangling watches in shock as Xiaoqiu moves, a blur of speed as he rushes into the forest, cutting down the insectoid monsters in his path, carving a trail of destruction through the trees. She can only stare, calling out his name in disbelief, but Xiaoqiu tells her to handle the rest of the swarm, leaving her with a quiet warning not to die. In the distance, a winged monster is sent flying, crashing violently into the dark earth. This creature slowly rises from the impact, now standing alone in a clearing carved from the forest, and it looks back at its damaged wings, muttering human. This insectoid realizes he carries their scent just like them. Questioning if he is a monster or a man, and Xiaoqiu simply states he is neither. Xiaoqiu's weapon pulses with dark energy as he undergoes a terrifying transformation, emerging clad in monstrous demonic armor, taunting the insectoid leader with his newfound power. For the first time, the creature feels a surge of fear, its instincts screaming to strike immediately. It launches itself forward in a desperate, high-speed assault, closing the distance in an instant, and lands a powerful blow directly to his head. This force of the impact echoing through the clearing, dust and debris explode from the point of contact, but as the smoke clears, its wings are shredded, revealing Xiaoqiu has caught the punch effortlessly. He mocks the creature's strength, asking if that is all it has, leaving the monster utterly stunned by this turn of events. This insectoid's wings are completely torn apart, sending it crashing back into the forest. But Xiaoqiu's grip is like a vice, declaring it is now his turn to attack. For the first time, the commander feels true terror. As Xiaoqiu moves with impossible speed, one devastating strike pierces the monster's head. A notification confirms the kill. A god-chosen monster is defeated, leaving him standing over the fallen demon god of treacherous wisdom. Its essence now flows into his weapon, triggering the spear's second evolution. A single crimson eye opens along the blade, granting it the power to summon a tide of crows. Xiaoqiu acknowledges his weapon's newfound strength. While below, the battlefield is littered with the swarm's remains. A soldier reports to Jiangling that the swarm is gone. Her men relieved Xiaoqiu did not have to sacrifice himself. Jiangling remains silent, processing his incredible power, when suddenly a soldier shouts in disbelief. Xiaoqiu has returned, emerging from the forest alone. He walks toward them with an unnerving calm, now carrying a sword, and one of the soldiers asks if he dealt with the monster. This man is stunned by the casual confirmation, questioning his true rank, as Xiaoqiu's simple sword now seems to carry a dark aura. Meanwhile, inside the train, Evelyn tends to the wounded. Later, Xiaoqiu and Jiangling sit in a quiet car, a heavy silence between them, until she finally breaks the tension, thanking him for his help. He just asks what she is thanking him for, so Jiangling specifies it was for saving her life. Noting his power is growing at an impossible rate, like something from a legend, Evelyn reports to Jiangling that the radio is dead, but Jiangling senses it is more than just broken equipment. This young woman explains their signal is being actively blocked, leaving them completely cut off from the outside world. At that moment, a new mission appears before Xiaoqiu. Its objective, exterminate an approaching sea of monsters, with the reward being a partial evolution into a demon god. As the train speeds through the desolate landscape, a radio inside suddenly crackles with a faint signal. One of the soldiers identifies the transmission from Army Camp L4, prompting Jiangling to order an immediate response. Evelyn explains their dire situation over the radio, and the voice from Camp L4 responds, confirming M2 has fallen, offering them protection if they can make it there. Hearing this, the survivors are filled with renewed hope. A radio crackles with a broken warning. It tells them not to trust messages from Army Camp L4 because the people sending them are monsters. Evelyn is stunned, unable to believe monsters could be so intelligent. A white-haired soldier recalls other instances of them mimicking humans, grabbing the microphone to respond. She demands to know who is sending this warning. And a new voice explains Camp L4 fell to intelligent creatures. A soldier is horrified to hear 3 8th-rank heroes were killed. This voice gives coordinates to a temporary survivor camp, urging them to come. But then another signal cuts in from the official Camp L4, creating chaos as the two transmissions clash. Her soldiers ask for orders, but the captain is suspicious, while the civilians argue, believing the official camp is the only safe bet. She listens silently, trapped between two impossible choices. With two conflicting signals, the soldier asks for Xiaoqiu's opinion, and he calmly advises them to go to neither place. He reveals with a smirk that they are both traps, a flashback showing how monsters gained cunning intelligence, using enslaved humans to deceive and destroy their own kind. But Xiaoqiu's memories tell a different story about Camp L4. realizing his actions have changed the timeline completely. And now the world is on an unpredictable path, yet he smirks knowing it cannot be worse than before. With the train low on fuel, they head for the temporary camp, arriving at the coordinates to find a human-built outpost. A group of soldiers emerges to welcome them, claiming to be survivors, but they are actually puppets luring them into a trap. Before they can strike, Zio Q unleashes his crows, slaughtering them all, leaving Evelyn to weep as her team was lost in the ambush. A journal entry details their grim journey toward Army Camp L4, but the white-haired soldier snaps the book shut with sudden finality, her eyes narrow, contemplating their impossible situation. As Zio Q explains, Camp L4 likely fell to intelligent monsters. She questions if the creatures can truly use strategy now, and he confirms a portion of them have indeed evolved. Zio Q elaborates on the demon god he fought, a creature of cunning, one that used deception and never revealed its true form. Changing the subject, she asks about his powerful weapon, which he simply calls a gift from a good friend. He silently wonders if she'd still think so, knowing his dark past. Haunted by a memory of being called a monster for killing an ally, he knows from experience that some choices have no right answer. When the entire train suddenly screeches to a halt, a soldier rushes in, urging the captain to look outside immediately. A colossal beast leads a monstrous horde across the wasteland, while a swarm of winged creatures darkens the sky above. A soldier reports the swarm is heading for Army Camp A1 just like them, when another man spots a convoy on the horizon, a fleet of armored vehicles charging across the desert plains, unleashing a volley of missiles into the monster-filled sky. Their attack tears through the flying creatures in a fiery blast, as explosions light up the air, decimating the swarm. This white-haired captain notes their clever tactics with admiration, but then a massive projectile slices through the chaos. A soldier from the train waves, believing allies have finally arrived. This new arrivals announce they are from Army Camp N3, but their soldiers immediately raise their weapons, demanding they do not move, leaving the train's crew stunned by the sudden hostility, now facing the calm, armed leader of this mysterious group. A young survivor pleads his case to a hostile soldier, but the man accuses them of being traitors. Suddenly, a bandaged leader tells them to stand down, his weary expression showing the weight of command. They have arrived at Army Camp A1's quarantine facility, a place now used to imprison suspected human collaborators. This commander acknowledges the hardship of their journey, explaining to a masked woman that Camp N3 has already fallen. She realizes the situation is dire if cities are being abandoned. This man reveals that traitors have infiltrated other camps, prompting her to ask about the monster's newfound intelligence. He believes the cause might be the emergence of monster gods. For now, she will be investigated before being assigned a task, leaving her to watch as he walks away from her cell, but she thinks to herself that she might hold the answer. Inside her cell, the white-haired soldier keeps a watchful eye, finding Zio Q in his own quarters studying a military map. He explains his theory about a nearby volcano, a potential monster source, but his silence suggests a deeper, unspoken plan. Suddenly, a news broadcast interrupts their thoughts. High-ranking officials have arrived to address the monster crisis. She notes their arrival means powerful reinforcements are here. Just as a guard announces their quarantine is over, they are needed. An urgent mission requires them to deploy immediately, and their weapons are returned for the coming battle. She is stunned they are being trusted so quickly, given the circumstances. Zio Q requests Evelyn's help before being led to identify his new team, where he is met with the hardened faces of prisoners, a whole yard full of them assembled and waiting. This is the Redemption Camp, a last-ditch unit of convicts sent to the front lines. This white-haired soldier dismisses the other survivors as useless, but a camp official offers a box of communicators, explaining they bypass monster interference for better coordination. Zio Q accepts, learning he has special privileges to choose his post, and the official warns him away from the dangerous northwest perimeter. So naturally, our boy chooses to go right there, shocking his companion. This man is stunned, asking if he even heard the warning, as he explains that sector is practically a lost cause. Zio Q confirms he knows, demanding maps and explosives for the job, and his companion backs his play, confirming their decision. Utterly bewildered, the official cannot believe what he is hearing. He finally agrees, warning them not to regret this choice. Later, she questions his plan to force the criminals into a desperate fight, arguing the strategy is too risky and will get them all killed. But Zio Q's cold expression shows he has a different plan in mind. Their survival now rests on Zio Q and Jiang Ling's combined efforts. And 2 hours later, the blonde woman is certain they are going to die, tasked with defending a forest pass against a camp of criminals. But as prisoners unload supplies, Zio Q calmly states they have to try. He reveals their plan involves planting powerful explosives, handing over a map with instructions for the prisoners and Jiang Ling. But the criminals exchange suspicious glances, plotting something else entirely. Alone, Zio Q waits for the inevitable confrontation. He takes a single, deliberate step forward, facing them with a look of cold satisfaction. Suddenly, one of the men pulls a gun, threatening him directly. This prisoner reminds him of their cooperation, demanding he back down, patting his shoulder with a smug grin, then demands they hand over the women in exchange for his life. From a distance, Jiang Ling's eyes narrow with cold fury. A bolt of purple energy flashes across the room, shocking one of the prisoners into terrified silence. He trembles, realizing the absolute danger he is in. This white-haired soldier asks to kill one and Xiao coldly agrees, as the man's life is instantly extinguished, her spear having already found its mark. His comrades watch, their anger mixing with fear, before she slams her weapon down in a show of power, unleashing a storm of violent energy to intimidate them. This remaining prisoners now understand the stakes. As Xiao gives them a simple choice, obey or die, his authority is now absolute, while another survivor scouts the path ahead with binoculars, witnessing a military convoy get decimated by explosions. A massive monster is tearing through the soldiers. This view through the binoculars shows the battlefield is completely overrun. Evelyn confirms their worst fears, the defenses have fallen and they are surrounded. Panic erupts among the prisoners, accusing him of leading them to their deaths. But Xiao lays out the grim reality, fight with him or be devoured. He promises them a chance at survival, a miracle if they follow his lead. His cold confidence leaves the convicts speechless and uncertain. He then issues strict orders, emphasizing the walkie-talkies are their lifeline. These prisoners are split into squads and sent to their designated positions, while he tasks Evelyn with setting up the miniature nuclear devices. His communicator suddenly crackles to life. A frantic report comes in from Group B, they have engaged the enemy. These convicts are already breaking, screaming for retreat and rescue, but Xiao calmly redirects them, orchestrating the battle like a chess master. His precise commands leave the men stunned, wondering how he knows so much. As they scramble through the forest, following his impossible orders, this convicts and Xiao's team stand ready by the riverbank, when a horde of monsters suddenly appears on the opposite shore. One prisoner stares in disbelief, the threat now terrifyingly real. Panicked, the men unleash a barrage of grenades across the water, which erupt in a massive explosion against the monster line. But a skeletal creature emerges from the fire completely unscathed, its glowing red eye fixed on the men across the river. With a deafening roar, the beast unleashes its fury, while from a safe distance, Xiao calmly orders the detonation of remote mines. A second, more powerful blast tears through the landscape, as he continues to coordinate his forces with cold precision. His new army of convicts advances up the barren slope, their separate groups moving like a well-oiled machine. Stunned, the prisoners marvel at his flawless battlefield calculations, realizing that following his lead is their only hope for survival. These prisoners follow orders, hurling grenades from the clifftop, which erupt in a fiery barrage against the monsters below. Two of the convicts cheer, believing they have already succeeded, as the various redemption camp groups return from their mission. Meanwhile, Jiangling channels her power into the explosives Xiao planted, triggering a massive blast that shatters the extinct volcano's surface. A colossal torrent of water erupts, creating a devastating avalanche, instantly swallowing the monster hordes in its path. With the path now a death trap, the team watches the aftermath. While military headquarters receive stunning news of their success, unwilling to credit criminals, the generals attribute the victory to an official, who generously transports the convicts back, letting them hope for freedom. But their reward is a return to their cells behind a chain-link fence, where they learn from a broadcast that their glory was stolen, and their resulting riot is met with a hail of gunfire from the guards. Inside Army Camp A1, the commander resides in luxury. An official questions a visiting congressman about the prison unrest, and Congressman Song asks why they are toying with the prisoners' lives. This officer dismisses them as bad seeds who deserve their fate, mentioning he will have the 3 survivors from other camps watch closely. Song cryptically assures him everything is proceeding as planned. This conversation then shifts to a special weapons shipment for the front, which the congressman confirms have already been delivered with a sinister smile. On that very front line, soldiers brace for impact in a desolate trench, watching a massive dust cloud signal the approaching horde. A trio of monstrous beasts leads the terrifying charge, and the soldiers' faces are etched with pure terror, just as their commander suddenly orders a full retreat. One man protests but is told support troops from Star City are taking over. Suddenly, a giant foot lands behind them, a new voice telling them to scram. This support troops from Star City are an army of super soldiers, each one tensing as they prepare for battle. A scientist confirms their checks are complete, giving the attack order. With a single command, the entire unit moves out, one soldier pounding his chest to activate a device, triggering a combat drug injection system. Vials on his back empty a powerful stimulant into his body, causing veins to bulge across his skin as he screams in agony. From a grotesque organ on his back, the drug spreads, and he emerges transformed, steaming with raw power. His visor glows with a terrifying red light. As the enhanced soldiers charge, screaming for blood, they sprint towards the monster horde with inhuman speed, their creators calling this madness a necessary evil for their special team. These are not men, but living weapons unleashed upon the enemy. The soldiers watch in awe, questioning who the real monsters are here. One of the new arrivals carves through the horde with brutal efficiency. He dismisses the beasts as mere appetizers, completely unimpressed. Another enhanced soldier joins him, blade at the ready, as their entire squad charges headfirst into the sea of monsters. Panicked, a regular soldier calls their charge a suicide mission, but a scientist calmly explains this is how they unleash their true power. With a smirk, he reveals their abilities were intentionally restricted, leaving the soldier utterly bewildered by his cold logic. Meanwhile, one of the super soldiers is surrounded by larger threats. He pulls down his mask, revealing a monstrous nature underneath, a creature complaining about the suffocating restraints on his power. Facing the enemy monsters, he claims his aura is far superior, relishing the chance to finally unleash his true strength. Then he roars for a second injection, demanding even more power. A fist clenches with immense force, as raw power surges through his veins, building to a terrifying crescendo. This vials of combat serum activate along his spine, transforming him into a monstrous warrior with glowing eyes. His body swells with unnatural muscle, and his hands morph into deadly claws. Before him stands a horde of ravenous beasts, but he meets their charge without hesitation. Crushing a monster's skull with a single squeeze, he grins, ready to unleash a massacre. With a blur of motion, he begins his assault, tearing through the pack with brutal efficiency. This battlefield is instantly littered with monster corpses, leaving nothing but a trail of absolute carnage. A soldier cannot believe the monster horde was actually repelled, while a scientist celebrates the success of his experiment, boasting that drugs can create powerful warriors from anyone. On the battlefield, monster corpses are piled high. As his enhanced soldiers march through the carnage, one of them drops the severed head of a massive beast, which the lead scientist deems a valuable specimen. This enhanced soldier is eager for the next fight, but a researcher insists on a post-battle checkup. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble violently, and the lead scientist looks up, sensing something wrong. His confusion instantly turns to sheer terror. As a colossal shadow falls over the entire field, a massive hand seemingly made of corpses reaches down, revealing a new monstrosity born from the fallen. One enhanced soldier scoffs, ready to kill it, launching himself forward with explosive force, leaping high into the air with his blade raised and brings it down in a devastating slash. But his attack has no effect at all, leaving him stranded on the monster's massive arm. From the sidelines, the lead scientist panics. Realizing this is a ninth-rank beast, this soldier screams for another injection, refusing to die, vowing to destroy these monsters no matter the cost. He slams his fist into his chest to trigger the system, and the vials on his back begin to glow. A guttural scream tears from his throat as his body begins to violently mutate again, transforming him into an even more terrifying creature. This lead scientist screams in absolute denial, as one of his enhanced soldiers is brutally impaled. Onlookers are horrified to see him transform into a beast, his hand morphing into terrifying, bandaged claws. With his transformation complete, he clenches his new hand, and he roars, ready to unleash his own brand of destruction, only to be caught by the colossal corpse golem's hand. He struggles, shocked that the giant's grip is unbreakable, dwarfed by the new monster looming over him. This massive hand begins to slowly close around him, its grip tightening with immense pressure. Trapped inside, the soldier can only scream in terror, before he is completely crushed in a bloody explosion, splattering the horrified lead scientist from head to toe. In that moment, he understands this was all part of the plan. This colossal beast toys with its prey. An officer gets a panicked report of multiple ninth-rank monsters. His radio crackles with static, cutting off the message. And cursing, he sprints from the command room. He bursts onto a balcony, desperate to see for himself, where giant silhouettes loom over the city walls. Rushing inside, he reports the disaster to a calm official, theorizing this could only be the work of a monster god. This official agrees, noting the gods are only acting because Mask is gone. With a cold smirk, he blames Mask for the entire crisis, then asks for a full count of their high-ranking fighters. This officer believes their forces can withstand the assault, but the official claims he is merely an observer from Star City. A strange detachment that leaves the officer deeply unsettled. Finally, he gives a chilling order: use cannon fodder, then nuclear weapons. This man with red glasses coldly justifies sacrificing a few for victory, while another official is relieved that a high-level approval keeps him off the battlefield. He agrees to make the necessary arrangements immediately. Elsewhere, a soldier screams for his unit to man the city wall, as a trio of specialized soldiers arrives on the scene. This female warrior's eyes widen in shock at what she sees. A horde of hulking, dark monstrosities marching towards them, but the masked man seems entirely unfazed by the sight. Recognizing the aura of the monster god among the beasts, one of the lead monsters lets out a deafening roar, and a smaller reptilian beast lunges forward to attack. Its massive jaws snap open, ready to strike, but the hulking beast intercepts it, crushing it in its hand. In the next instant, that same beast is torn to shreds, revealing a shadowy new monster with a terrifying grin. This shadowy monster launches a devastating attack. Soldiers below watch a projectile plummet from the sky, screaming for everyone to run for their lives. It slams into the wall with catastrophic force, followed by a volley of shadowy missiles. This barrage shatters the city's defenses. On the other side, two hulking beasts stand ready, their glowing red eyes scanning the battlefield. A silent, menacing promise of destruction. Suddenly, they look up as something else descends, crashing down right between them in a cloud of dust. When the smoke clears, a lone swordsman stands in the crater. As a monstrous red eye glares through the haze, this warrior readies his twin blades for the impossible fight, completely dwarfed by the titan looming over him. A bloodied, shadowy hand claws its way from the earth, as a hulking shadow beast erupts from the ground. Unleashing a tide of smaller, dark creatures, this monstrous horde charges towards the lone masked man, overwhelming the human soldiers in a brutal assault. One massive beast roars, its eyes glowing with purple energy, but the white-haired warrior strikes it down with his spear. His comrade asks if he has a plan to turn the tide, and he replies that he needs an hour to prepare. But an hour is a luxury they simply do not have, and their female ally grimly accepts their fate. Refusing to surrender, the spearman unleashes his power, erupting in a massive blast of purple lightning. His energy beam tears straight through the monster ranks, leaving him standing alone amidst the chaos. A lone warrior stands atop the wall, facing the horde below, holding a mask as he recalls a life lived in his father's shadow. This mask was the only thing containing his explosive power, but he still does not understand why his father abandoned his mother. Deciding it is time to confront him in the underworld for answers, with that resolve he steps to the very edge of the precipice, launching himself into the sea of monsters below, a confident smirk on his face as he clarifies this is not suicide, but rather a controlled descent he calls failing to fly, crashing into the horde like a bolt of lightning. This impact obliterates the beasts in a massive shockwave, carving a path of destruction through their ranks. But his triumphant laugh is cut short, as a colossal shadowy hand moves to intercept his attack, leaving him utterly stunned by this impossible development. This shadowy monster takes a powerful blow to its side, sending the female warrior flying backward in agony. Ground shatters from the force of the impact, but the masked man catches her just in time. They land in the center of a massive, spiraling crater, surrounded by the falling debris of the attack. Gently setting her down, he tells her she has done enough, his eyes filled with a cold, unwavering resolve. He explains she is not yet ready for an 8th-rank beast, then corrects a previous assumption about his own power. Declaring he will not die here, a dark energy gathers at his side, and shadowy tendrils begin to consume his entire body. Within moments, he is enveloped in a storm of black aura, as his very form twists into something monstrous. This transformation completes, revealing a demonic warrior ready for war. His demonic form declares it is time to end this, revealing Xiaoqi's new terrifying power. His ally watches from the ground, stunned by the sight. Barely recognizing him, she whispers his name in disbelief. This colossal shadow beast prepares to strike back, launching a devastating energy blast toward her. But Xiaoqi leaps into the air, meeting the titan head-on, only to be ensnared by a web of dark energy threads. He shatters the trap, dodging the resulting debris, as the shadow titan glares down with malevolent eyes. Landing gracefully, Xiaoqi readies his blade for the next move. This beast raises its massive hand for another crushing blow, its palm glowing with concentrated destructive power. Suddenly, a crimson slash tears across the monster's neck, completely severing its head in a single, blinding strike. His demonic form lunges forward with explosive force. A storm of crimson tendrils swirling around him. He holds the beast's remains aloft, a mass of dark energy, utterly destroying it in a single, terrifying move. Nearby, Congressman Song confirms this is a transformed human, seeing not a hero but a valuable specimen to be captured. Just then, a radio confirms the nuclear strike is underway. This official's watching calmly as their plan unfolds perfectly, as missiles streak across the sky in a rain of fire. On the ground, soldiers realize they have been used as bait, while the official coldly cleans his glasses, offering a hollow promise that their sacrifice will be remembered. This volley of warheads continues its fiery descent, but a beam of purple energy slices through the air to meet them, creating a massive eye-shaped vortex in the clouds. In the command center, the red-spectacled official crushes his glasses in rage, stunned by the impossible news of a demon god. He insists such a being could never break through to Earth, recalling the cosmic net that separates the human and monster realms, a barrier that only allows smaller, calamity-level beasts to slip through. This demon god, however, is a different story entirely, a colossal predator far too massive to ever break the barrier. This very knowledge led most of the Federation to form a peace faction, while the legendary Mask insisted on total war, leading to his downfall. Back in the present, a volley of nuclear missiles streaks across the sky, aimed directly at a massive, otherworldly eye hanging in the clouds. This warheads race towards their impossible target, but dark portals suddenly materialize, swallowing them whole, instantly teleporting the entire nuclear payload to an unknown location, leaving the official to realize in horror it just warped their nukes away. This officer is paralyzed by the demon god's overwhelming power. Questioning Congressman Song, who plans to leave for Star City, he realizes the congressman is simply trying to flee, despite Song's claims that he must report the disaster personally. Elsewhere, the white-haired warrior grips his spear, looking up in shock at what is descending from the sky. His comrades can only watch, frozen in terror, as a horde of rocky monsters lands before them. One of the beasts lets out a deafening roar, but a bladed limb flashes through the air, slicing the creature's head clean off. This demonic warrior is revealed only to be caught by a giant hand, which prepares to crush him in its grip, smashing him into the ground with incredible force, leaving him broken and defeated in a crater. Lying broken in the crater, Xiaoqi's eyes still glow, while the demon god's eye watches from the sky above, pinning his shattered form against the canyon wall. But beneath the mask, his human resolve remains unbroken. A defiance the cosmic entity seems to notice, locking its gaze directly onto the fallen warrior. His ally realizes the demon god is focused solely on Xiaoqi, wondering why such a powerful being would care about one man, unless he was the legendary warrior known as Mask. This great eye continues to stare down from the heavens, meeting Xiaoqi's defiant, unwavering glare. Suddenly, the otherworldly presence seems to flinch, and his comrade gasps, realizing the demon god is afraid. Its form beginning to unravel in the sky. As the cosmic horror turns and flees in terror, a vortex of dark energy vanishes from the sky, leaving the colossal rock monsters standing motionless before they begin to crumble into dust and debris, sending the remaining beasts fleeing in absolute terror. On the ground, a soldier stares in disbelief at the sudden retreat, his comrades shouting in joy that they are all gone, and the surviving troops erupt in cheers of victory. But Xiao lies in the crater, realizing the demon god is as cowardly as ever, recalling how it used to hide from him in the void, only daring to attack after he abandoned his power as mask. He never imagined it would flee just from his presence in this new world, failing to sense that he was now as weak as an ant to its power. A system window confirms his partial monster transformation is complete, as a new, darker energy swirls around his body, filling him with a terrifying urge to destroy and consume everything. A soldier stares in disbelief, demanding to know what he is. As Xiao confronts a squad of human officials in the wasteland, his white-haired ally insists he is human, but an officer scoffs. Congressman Song connects him to every recent monster disaster, and a military commander fully agrees with the damning accusation. She desperately argues he fought asterisk for asterisk them against the beasts. But the commander silences her for defending a monster. He accuses them both of conspiring with the demons, placing the entire party under immediate arrest. Masked enforcers quickly surround the two warriors, yet Xiao remains completely unfazed by the threat, and with a simple gesture he sends his weapon flying. This commander thinks he is finally showing his true colors, charging forward right as the spear impales him, stunned that Xiao still has this much power left. Suddenly, a spectacled man seizes Xiao from behind, his hand glowing with a strange, suppressive green energy, causing the demonic warrior to cry out in pain. Elsewhere, a man in a suit drives a blade into his chest, spilling his blood onto the desolate ground, but the attacker is swiftly impaled by a dark tendril. Xiao mask is cracked, revealing his determined face, as a military officer watches the brutal turn of events. This commander screams for his men to retreat, trying to escape, but a vortex of dark energy instantly surrounds him. Appearing before the trapped man, Xiao mocks his fear, and the commander can only call him a traitorous monster. Xiao coldly accepts the accusation, vowing to act like the monster they believe him to be, ending the traitor's life in a violent, bloody flash. This commander's blood stains the wasteland, leaving his white-haired ally to watch in disbelief. Just then, a new fighter arrives with incredible speed, kneeling before Xiao and addressing him as army chief. This man reveals he has known his true identity all along, joyfully proclaiming the return of the legendary mask. He pledges to help him retake Star City and his rightful place, but Xiao remains silent, considering the offer. Suddenly, the loyalist looks up, sensing a change, as a dark, chaotic energy erupts from Xiao body. A violent beam of energy then slams into the ground. Meanwhile, an official announces a great victory to the public. Congressman Song takes credit for destroying millions of demons, honoring the fallen before turning his speech against traitors from within, branding Xiao as the ultimate enemy of humanity. This public panics over monsters that look just like humans, but a commanding voice suddenly shouts for silence. A new official addresses the crowd, speaking of traitors, vowing the Federation will bring every last one to justice, and his words whip the citizens into a supportive frenzy. Suddenly, a news reporter spots something in the distance, urging her cameraman to get the shot. On a nearby rooftop, a lone warrior is seen standing, a black-haired fighter armed and ready for a confrontation. This crowd below immediately panics, calling him a monster, as masked enforcers leap into action to eliminate him. One attacker flies through the air, blade poised to strike, but the rooftop warrior remains utterly unfazed by the assault, effortlessly parrying the blow with his own blade. Now finding himself surrounded by a host of new challengers, Xiao effortlessly dispatches the masked enforcers, his remaining foes stunned by his incredible strength. A dark energy envelops him as he stands over the fallen, and he walks away from the carnage without a second glance. In the distance, he spots a group of terrified civilians, while a blonde man in a suit watches the confrontation unfold. This newcomer recognizes the lone warrior as Xiao, recalling their complicated past as both allies and adversaries, wondering if Xiao even sees him as a rival anymore. He dismisses the thought, feeling insignificant next to the legend of Mask, a hero who was once celebrated and respected by all. But now this man, Hirao, sees a chance to prove himself. Believing he can finally defeat the legendary warrior by using a new medication to become a monster just as powerful, and with this dark resolve, he steps forward to face Xiao. A panicked official screams for his comrade to act now. This blonde man stands before a towering, imposing figure. As his ally Hirao is warned that time is running out, both men stand ready for the coming confrontation, but the scene suddenly shifts to a press conference, where the same blonde official has fallen to his knees, submitting completely before the man at the podium. That man then reveals his face, making a stunning declaration. This crowd erupts in disbelief, calling him a monster, while his white-haired ally watches the broadcast in shock. She cannot process that the legendary mask has returned, and on screen, Xiao clarifies he is no returning hero, just the only one who can save them from their own ruin. Declaring that humanity has always needed him, this arrogance stuns the public who remember Mask as a humble man. He tells the gathered officials their fear of his power led to his exile, calling their pride a sin far worse than any weakness. Now he intends to drain all their resources to grow even stronger. broadcasting his ultimate message that the world is now his. Watching from afar, his white-haired ally finally understands everything. A single tear falling as the truth of his identity sinks in, but instead of panic, the crowd erupts into cheers for Mask, with many falling to their knees in absolute reverence. And with humanity's support, Zio Q calls out the monster gods to face him.